Yo, this is Set with Set Media, man. I'm here to talk to you about our partner, Kalshi. Kalshi is the largest legal prediction market in the United States with over 1 million users. It's available in all 50 states. They are a real money market, people trading on what they think will happen. You can build a position and trade in and out of almost any prediction you think. Kalshi facilitates trade between people kind of like the stock market. There's no limiting your trades just because you're winning. Kalshi will pay you interest on your position. So if you make a long-term trade, you can earn a return even before the market is resolved. If you want to try out Kalshi, go ahead and give them a try, guys, at my link, kalshi.com/setmedia. Get $20 when you trade 20, so it's 20 for 20, guys. Once again, that's kalshi.com/setmedia. Go ahead and use my code setmedia to get $20 when you trade 20. Let's go ahead and take a look here at Kalshi, because like I said, it is a trading market where you can put in your prediction and you can go ahead and earn interest on that. You can make money off the knowledge that you know, and if you put $20 in, you get $20 back. So all right, guys, make sure to go check out my guy at Kalshi, because you can get in on good trades like who will Trump nominate as Fed chair, will Ali Khamenei be outed as the supreme leader, and will the US confirm that aliens exist before 2027. So if you want to get in on this action, once again, go ahead and go to my partners at Kalshi. Go ahead and use the link, or you can hit the QR code above and use Set Media to go ahead and get $20 when you trade 20. This is Set from Set Media, and shout out to Kalshi. Yo, and we are live. Yo, this is Set with Set Media, guys, and I'm back with another one for you. All right, guys, we're about to get right into the media analysis. We're going to do a bit of a quick live tonight. So probably be here for about a couple hours. But we're going to get right into day 2 of the blockage of the Strait of Hormuz. It does seem like Iran might be coming back to the negotiation table. So there may have actually been some real pressure there, but it doesn't really seem like it because, well, China was able to break the blockade and, get what they wanted to get. But let's get right into it. Don't forget to double tap that screen, like the video, and let's go. Oh, and any question, comment, jokes, or disagreements, just go ahead and super chat that in. Appreciate the support.
It's been reported but not confirmed, so we'll stand by on all that. Good morning, everybody. A lot's happening. I'm Bill Hemmer. Hey,
good morning. I'm Dana Perino, and this is America's Newsroom. You have some news?
A little bit. Just got off the phone with a senior official with the administration. What I can tell you is that, quote, a lot is happening today and tomorrow. We have all the ingredients for a deal, but it's not all there yet, which goes a little bit along the lines of what J.D. Vance was saying last night with Brett. The blockade with regard to Iran has Iran, quote, really fearful, which chokes off their economy. So watch that now with the U.S. Navy trying to interdict any ships passing in the Strait of Hormuz, Gulf of Oman, up into the Persian Gulf. So
all right.
It's a little bit of something.
A little bit more. Okay, and we'll get you to this. The president turning up the heat after peace talks with Iran ended without a deal over the weekend. So he's promising to put more pressure where it really hurts, and that's on their economy. We're tracking the U.S. blockade and control over the strategic waterway. This is a live look of ship movement there. More than 15 U.S. warships are now reportedly enforcing those maritime restrictions that apply to all vessel traffic, regardless of the flag.
Also, Dana,
except for China, because as we found out last night, China was able to get their ship through. And if you don't believe me, I mean, here's an article right here. US-sanctioned Chinese tanker breaks Hormuz blockage. So yeah, a Chinese tanker was able to get through the blockage. And I called this last night. I was like, all right, but when China pulls up and they say, yo, we're getting our oil, what are we going to do? Blow them up? It's like, come on now. When Russia pulls up and tries to get their oil, what are we going to do? We just blow them up. And it doesn't seem like we were ready to do that. And Trump did say he was going to start, putting 50% tariffs on these guys. But we're talking about China and Russia. You think they care about tariffs? Like these guys, Russia got sanctions. China, I mean, they're already tariffed to hell already.
Returning home from talks in Pakistan, the Vice President, J.D. Vance, laying out the state of play as it is right now.
I think the Iranians are going to determine what happens next. As the President of the United States says, we have the cards. We have the military advantage. We now have additional economic pressure that we're applying on them through the blockade that we've imposed on their oil coming out of the Straits of Hormuz. So we have a lot of cards. We have the leverage, and we're going to see what the Iranians do with that.
Aisha Hasni, live at the White House with more to kick us off. Hi, Aisha.
Hey, good morning to you guys.
Guys, make sure to double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Let's get more people on the conversation by double tapping that screen. Appreciate the support.
So President Trump says Iran wants to make a deal very badly. And adding to your reporting here, Bill, several reports out today that we could see a second round of talks, negotiations as early as later this week. In fact, last night, Vice President J.D. Vance sat down with our Brett Baer and told him that he actually thinks they were not able to cut a deal with Iran in Pakistan over the weekend because the Iranian negotiators had to go back to Tehran and get approval for the terms set by the U.S. So basically, they couldn't.
And no, that's so funny because, like, well, what I've heard is that actually the Iranians had the Ayatollah, the supreme leader, on the phone. And the problem was that Vance actually was the one who had to leave out the room 6 times to call the president to see, yo, is this good? Or, yo, can we accept this? So I don't know. It is kind of mixed signals we're getting here, but we'll see what comes out.
Say yes on the spot in Pakistan. So now we wait.
And really, the ball is very much in their court. So you ask what happens next. I think the Iranians are going to determine what happens next. As the President of the United States says, we have the cards. We have the military advantage. We now have additional economic pressure that we're applying on them through the blockade that we've imposed on their oil coming out of the Straits of Hormuz.
So let's talk about the U.S. blockade on Iranian ports. The BBC this morning is reporting that 4 Iranian-linked ships crossed the strait today, 2 of them visiting Iranian ports. We do not have that independently confirmed. We have reached out to the Pentagon to find out if that is true. But again, that's coming from the BBC today. China is calling Trump's blockade, quote, dangerous. The president actually meets with his ambassador to China later on today. He is warning Beijing that he will hit them with a staggering 50% tariff if China is caught sending Iran military aid. We are also tracking major.
The goalpost move is wild because we were supposed to put a 50% tariff on the fact that they broke through the blockade and they tested our gangster. They was already supposed to get a 50% tariff on that. Now we move the goalpost too well. If you start giving them weapons, then we're gonna go ahead and hit you with that blockade. With the 50% tariff. When we should have gave it to you for just going through the blockade without our permission. But like I said, I called it out when I said superpowers are going to test our gangster, and China was the first one to do it.
Ceasefire talks today between the Israeli and Lebanon ambassadors. It's hosted by the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. These are the highest level talks between these 2 nations in some 3 decades. So all eyes on those talks happening today as well. But as you said, Bill, a lot happening, a lot moving this week.
Aisha Hasni at the White House for us. Thank you.
All right, so Dana will go to the map, but you know what we believe the state of play is right now. Strait of Hormuz, okay? Keep in mind, this is the Emirates, UAE, this is Oman, and this is Iran across the Strait of Hormuz. Now, on this map here, what you see, all these red dots, there are anywhere between 16 and 32 ports that the Iranians operate, either here in the Persian Gulf or out here in the Gulf of Oman. And these would be some of the ports that the U.S. Navy would try and interdict in this blockade, all right? Trying to force Iran's hand. We showed you this yesterday. I want to go back to it yet again, okay? In the yellow marker here, I can show you.
Yeah, but here's the problem. The blockade means nothing if Iran's main buyer can make it through the Strait of Hormuz. And Iran's main buyer is China. So how is this blockade really affecting, their economy if they're able to go ahead and still get their oil sold through China? Like, it's not really hurting them that much, guys. And be honest with you, I wish it did. If China would have stayed out of it and they wasn't able to get through, then yeah, we'd be able to say, all right, this is really economically hitting them. But when their biggest buyer is still able to go and pass through the Strait of Hormuz in and out, I'm not really sure we can call this a win.
What the Iranians want to happen and what the normal trade has been. This is the normal shipping route, right? It goes over the tip of Oman here, United Arab Emirates here, Iran is over here, and this is what the
And I'm sorry, but like, wait, what? Like, and guys, it is been widely reported that yes, a U.S. sanctioned Chinese tanker breaks Hormuz blockage. Like, I'm sorry, guys, but yes, China was able to break the blockage and basically test Trump's gangster, and he kind of made him look like a sucker a little bit because he put a blockade on Iran's restriction of the Strait of Hormuz, and I guess China took it upon themselves to say, look, FEO blockade, we're going to go in there, we're going to get our gas, and we're going to go. And that's exactly what they did. And I called it. I said, if a superpower pulls up, what are we going to do? Because, I mean, sure, we could pick on the smaller countries, the less powerful countries. But if China or Russia pulls up, I doubt we're going to get aggressive with them, sadly.
Iranians want around this island here, all right, that's called Larak, L-A-R-A-K, and that's what the Iranians would like to see happen. However, what we're seeing right now with this bottleneck here in the Strait of Hormuz, there is a handful of ships going through. What we're trying to show you here are 4 Chinese-linked vessels. Some carry oil, some do not, all right, 4 different ones here. Once the blockade was set up, they were en route, all right, to the island of Larak and then turned around. Same for these 2 over here. But there was one report from overnight. Lauren Simonetti from Fox Business had it. This is the Rich Starry track, okay? You see it in yellow. It came through here, it paused, and then overnight it did traverse the Strait of Hormuz. So that's one, okay, as that blockade continues. So here's the marine traffic we've been looking at. You see all the red dots, all the green dots? On the screen behind me, again, this is Oman. Here's UAE. This is Iran up here, and that's that island I've been referring to up there at the top of your screen. Everything in red you see, that is an ocean-carrying vessel that has either oil or oil products. Everything in green is cargo. But you see the logjam here off the coast of UAE and also here off the coast of Oman? They've been sitting there now for several weeks. Now, if the U.S. Navy were to interdict a ship at sea, this is basically what happens. These are the rules of the sea now. You issue the warning, the ship is boarded, the papers are checked. If they pass, they're okay. If they don't, we might have issues. The ship then could be boarded and searched, and finally it's detained.
But this is why it don't make sense, because anybody who's making through the Strait of Hormuz has pretty much been cleared by Iran. That's the problem here. So anybody you check outside, anybody they check is going to be highly suspicious like that. So any ship that pretty much makes it out through that other side, I mean, 9 times out of 10, they paid that fee to Iran, and it is what it is. Like, I really don't know how we're really stopping them. You're telling me what? So you tell me they're going to pay the fee to Iran, come through, we're going to check their papers and be like, all right, you're good. See ya. Happy travels. Like, yeah, how is this blockade working out in our favor again?
It's rerouted or eventually it is released. Those are the laws of the sea right now for the U.S. Navy. Retired U.S. Navy Commander Kirk Lippel with me now, former commander of the USS Cole. And sir, it's great to have you on today. What are we missing in the story? Bill. What do we need to understand?
I think the big picture, Bill, that you need to look at is the Navy putting in a blockade of the Strait of Hormuz and Iran ports. It's a very complicated operation. It takes a lot of ships to do it. There's a lot of territory to cover. And we have the forces that if you do decide, as you mentioned with those law of the sea points, is that they're going to have to stop these vessels, check these vessels, and you're going to have a team go on that is literally prepared for anything that may occur, because we cannot trust.
Well, but here, and like I said, here's the thing. Iran, they control, well, let me go ahead and mainstream it for some of y'all. Iran controls this part right here, this little, well, hill-like passage. Now, this is what they control. Now, the problem is that the United States is going to be out here in the Gulf of Oman. And here's the problem. We don't know who paid that $2 million just to make it through. I doubt they're going to have that on paper. So basically, we don't know if these guys are still getting paid to get through for their, transit fee through the Strait of Hormuz. And then we also really don't know who's actually shipping for Iran or not. Like, let's be real. They can start forging these papers since we just said it out loud and we're out here checking papers. I'm not really sure how successful this blockade is going to be on strangling Iran's economy. I mean, let's be real, Iran's economy was already trash. So it's kind of funny that we're trying to destroy an economy that's already been destroyed. Like, let's be real. The only reason why they're able to fight so well with the destroyed economy is because they're a self-reliant country.
Any of these vessels, especially those that are Iranian.
Can I ask you about all those ships that have been out there for weeks? Like, maybe it's a dumb question, but how do they have supplies in order to handle all of that?
Well, Dana, great question, because a lot of them have a limited number of supplies, and now a lot of the—
Oh, guys, make sure to double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Let's get more people on the conversation by double tapping that screen, man. Let's get to 100 likes.
Seafarers are very concerned about the fact that they need to be sustained out there. The ship owners are worried, how are we going to get supplies? How are we going to get food? How are we going to get routine maintenance parts done to all those ships as they sit and wait, both in the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman? So I think the Navy is sensitive to that. They're working with our partners in the region, with those countries, Saudi Arabia, Oman, UAE, to make sure that these vessels can, in fact, get some of the support that they need, that those mariners can be taken care of from all these different countries around the world. But at the end of the day, we, the U.S. Navy, have to hold Iran accountable for what they have done. Bring them back to the negotiating table, keep the pressure on with them, because this is going to cost the Iranian regime $13 billion a month in order to make sure that we can keep that blockade up. They do not get the economic support they need. Okay. Their economy was already staggering when it began.
$13 billion a month, bro. This war is costing us like $1 billion a day, bro. A day. I mean, who's getting strangled harder here? But I mean, you know what? It still would be Iran. Like I said, their economy is basically still destroyed. But if we're talking about who's spending the most money, it's still us. Even with this naval blockade, we're still putting out a lot of money just to close it. And the problem is, like I said, China was able to get through it. And we're going to go ahead and get into that, because that's a problem here. So we're over here setting out blockades, trying to flex on the world. We can shut down anything we want. And then here comes China just, bursting our bubble.
The United States started its naval blockade yesterday at 10 a.m. Eastern. We're around 17 hours in. And basically, a lot of the traffic, the little trickle we've seen since the start of the war, has come to a screeching halt, apart from one incident. And this is really interesting because this is a Chinese-owned vessel. It's now said to have tested the U.S. naval blockade because it has passed through the Strait of Hormuz. Let's take you through this. This is a rich starry. This is a tanker said to be carrying methanol. It started moving from Sharjah here in the UAE. Remember, a lot of these vessels turn off the AIS transponders, so you don't really know the origin of which port that they moved from. Starting to move towards Keshem and Larak Islands, then, starts aborting mission, moves back, and then starts to take that route once again, passing through the strait in the early hours of this morning. Now, this is a tanker that has been sanctioned since March 2023 by the U.S.
And it's sanctioned and it made it through? Crazy. And then, yes, there actually are stories reporting this as well. I mean, this was, like I said, I showed this last night. Yeah, U.S.-sanctioned Chinese tanker breaks Hormuz blockage. I know, for those of you who are in disbelief, yes, it actually happened. Yeah, Chinese-owned tanker under U.S. sanction had transit the Strait of Hormuz, making the first known passage through the strategic waterway since the current blockade took hold. I mean, bro, what was it? A day, and it already was broken. And like I said, I didn't think it was a good move just because I'm like, so what? When China comes through and just walks through it because we're not going to attack them, then what? Oh, and who is one of Iran's main buyers? Oh, yeah, China. Oh, guys, make sure to double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Let's get more people on the conversation by just double tapping that screen and smashing the like button. If you got any questions, comments, jokes, or disagreements, or just want to support the channel, you can super chat it in. Appreciate the support. All right, let's go.
the strait in the early hours of this morning. Now, this is a tanker that has been sanctioned since March 2023 by the U.S. Treasury Department because it has links to Iran. Now, from what we understand from experts, this tanker was able to move through completely unfazed by the U.S. naval blockade. So we don't know what exactly transpired and how the United States is enforcing this blockade. But this is really interesting to see this tanker that has links to Iran, that has been sanctioned by the United States, being able to move through the Strait of Hormuz at this time. A lot of the shippers are very reticent to even make the voyage. Number one, they're worried about having to coordinate directly with the Iranians. And then number two, what will they face when they hit the U.S. naval blockade? A lot of the shippers believe that this is a double dilemma in terms of negotiating with both sides. From what we know right now, that the United States is doing this naval blockade to perhaps start negotiations, to force Iran to the negotiating table. You'll remember that a lot of the revenues that Iran is getting right now at the start of this war had to do with the toll that they were charging these shippers, Rosemary, and then importantly, the Iranian oil that was being sold. And if you look at some of the tanker traffic since the start of the war, it has been dominated by Iranian-linked vessels and also vessels that are friendly to Iran. So the United States and President Trump has been very clear about this, that any vessels, any shippers that have paid that toll fee could face indictment. And
I mean, but how they gonna know? How they gonna know, bro, when they could play through crypto? It's like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, first off, they could pay it in Chinese yuan. If they really want to be secretive about it, they could pay it in crypto. So how we gonna know? And especially if their papers are forged and look out good and it looks good, we just gonna let them through. So I mean, they have every way to like kind of play us on this whole blockade, especially when it comes to the paperwork. And then we don't even have a way to trace who's paying the $2 million per transit or not. Like, we don't know. We don't have a way to figure out who's paying the $2 million to Iran to transit the Strait of Hormuz. We don't know. And like I said, they're doing it by crypto. Whoa, we really don't know.
you have an interesting bar chart here showing just how much the traffic plummeted since the start of the war. And you've seen a trickle throughout the over 40 days that we've been facing this conflict. In total, 453 vessels have transited the strait since February 28th. And importantly, just to give you a bit of a perspective, normally 130 vessels pass through the strait on a daily basis. Richard Mead is the editor-in-chief of Lloyd's List Intelligence, and he's with us now live from London. Richard, good to see you. You and I have been talking consistently since the start of the war, and there's been, really interesting developments, specifically over the past few hours. After the U.S. naval blockade came into effect, we saw one Chinese-linked tanker that was sanctioned by the United States since 2023 transiting through the strait after initially had, backed out and then moved through once again. What do we know about the Rich Starry and whether it was challenged by the U.S. Navy?
Well, at the moment, we know very little. It's still moving, which suggests...
Well, I got a little bit of information on it. It's owned by Shanghai Quran Shipping, a firm included on the US-sanctions list. So that's how we know. Let's see. Shipping tracking data from maritime traffic showed the vessel crossing the strait early on Tuesday after circling near the checkpoint late on Monday. The tanker had departed from Sharjah in the United Arab Emirates and is now en route to China. So it made it through the Strait of Hormuz, basically. And why didn't CENTCOM blockade? U.S. CENTCOM said on Sunday that the blockade will be enforced impartially against vessels of all nations entering or leaving. Well, then what the hell happened with China? Whatever.
It hasn't been challenged by the U.S. To be clear, we're not entirely sure that this was laden with Iranian crude. It's been used as floating storage for a while. It entered back into the Gulf about 10 to 12 days ago from memory. And then it was heading out of the Gulf this weekend and did a bit of a U-turn at the point that Donald Trump announced the blockade. It then made a break for it last night and has exited. Now, this is, as you say, a sanctioned, falsely flagged ship. It is.
If I could ever put it in such a simple way, basically, these guys on the rich story was pretty much like, all right, bro, all right, Ron, we're about to slide through. It's like, and oh, bro, like, not yet. America put a blockade on. America puts the blockade on, and the rich story's like, can we still go through? It's like, man, you China, bro, you good. They ain't gonna touch you. And then they just go on through unopposed, and we know about it. And now I ain't gonna say it's Taco Trump. I'm just gonna say, I mean, what do you expect? It's a superpower. They got nukes. We ain't gonna bomb a ship that got nukes or bomb a country ship that country got nukes. I'm sorry, it's just something that we don't do. It's probably why Iran wants nukes so bad, because when you got nukes, people just seem to leave you alone. Isn't that crazy?
Is nominally fraudulently flagged to Malawi, but we know it's a fraud. This probably would be a target, but it seems to have got out. We've also got a number of other Shadow Fleet tankers, one of which is sanctioned, heading in. So it's going to be interesting to see how the US responds to this. But right now, the vast majority of shipping is not moving on either side.
Yeah, so give me a sense of what shippers are telling you. There's a lot of confusion about.
Honestly, what I'm getting from this is that, yeah, if you're not a superpower, you're not making it through that strait. If you're not Russia, China, or the US, you're not making it through that strait. Oh, guys, make sure to double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Let's get more people in on the conversation by double tapping that screen and liking the video. Let's get to 100 likes. Appreciate the support. Now let's go ahead and get over into a bit of international news. Oh, you got any question, comments, jokes, or disagreements? I'll be happy to read it out loud, and it's a great way to engage with the show with $2 and up super chats. Why? Because you can't send nothing with $1. That's why. But all right, though, let's get right into it.
U.S. President Donald Trump says a new round of negotiations with Iran could happen in the next couple of days. A source from Pakistan's foreign ministry told Al Jazeera that Islamabad is offering to again host the talks. Tehran says excessive demands and a lack of political will from the U.S. delegation prevented a breakthrough in Islamabad last weekend. Washington maintains that the so-called right people in Iran still want to make a deal. U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance says the ceasefire with Iran is holding. Vance led the U.S. delegation in Islamabad on Sunday.
What's interesting about this is that we have this ceasefire that's in place. I think it's 6 or 7 days old. Right now, the ceasefire is holding. And what you're seeing is what the president wants to make, he doesn't want to make like a small deal. He wants to make the grand bargain. I think the people we're sitting across from wanted to make a deal. And I know the president of the United States told us to go out there and negotiate in good faith. That's what we did. That's what we're going to keep on doing.
I mean,
John Holman
here's the problem. I don't think it's negotiating. Well, you know what? I'll say this. I think they tested the waters with Iran with this first round. They was like, all right, let's see if we can get them to with no nuclear enrichment. And if we can get that, that's a win. And that's what they were pushing on. You guys can't do no more nuclear enrichment. And of course, Iran said, no, we have a right to enrich. We're willing to get into something like the JCPOA, but we're not giving up our enrichment. We're not giving up our ballistic missiles. So, yeah, they didn't really move any ground. And let's be real. If they was begging for this ceasefire like Trump and Hegseth said, then why the hell they walked away? Because they got leverage, guys. And that's the problem. They got more leverage than we thought, and they're not willing to bend the knee to our demands.
Is now live from Washington, D.C. John, so the U.S. Vice President, J.D. Vance, he's been talking about negotiations with Iran. What else have we heard from him?
Yeah, and it all sounds quite upbeat, doesn't it? He says there at the end of that soundbite, that's what we're going to keep on doing. What else have we heard? He said that we haven't had a meeting like this and talking about this high level between US and Iranian officials in 49 years. And of course, there's a lot of mistrust between Iran and US. You're not going to solve that overnight. So seeming to sort of say, rather than saying that in a negative way, we understand possibly what the difficulties could be. And he said, as you heard them there, that he thinks that the people that were sitting across from him were trying to make a deal, that they were from the US side negotiating in good faith. And we've got on top of this President Trump telling the New York Post that there could be more negotiations in Islamabad, in Pakistan, in a couple of days' time. So all of the noises from the US camp coming out quite positively, talking up the prospect of a deal, at the same time that they're blockading the Strait of Hormuz and preventing Iranian oil from getting out and from Iranian ships that go to Iranian ports getting through the Strait of Hormuz. So there's definitely a sense at the same time that they're trying to turn the screw, but at the same time trying to send out perhaps public overtures that they are looking to get some sort of peace. Vice President J.D. Vance said that what President Trump wanted to do is to treat Iran as a normal country economically in a way that it perhaps hadn't done, and that he thinks that Iran can thrive. So that's the message. Fall in with our demands, and that the key demand here is
but they've heard that before. Give up your weapons and don't worry, we'll help you out and thrive. And then all of a sudden you're getting sodomized with a knife on camera. Gaddafi. Gaddafi. That's what happened in Libya. And here's the problem. Like, bro, I guess we'd be thinking these guys are stupid. It's like, no, give up your ballistic missiles, give up your nukes. And we'll make sure you thrive. After we overthrow your regime and hit you with endless missiles, and then then we're gonna make sure you thrive. I mean, like, nah, dog, nah. Trust me, they're not trusting us with that. Now, give up your weapons, we'll make sure you thrive. Trust me, they've heard that before.
To give up any hope for a nuclear weapon from Iran and even nuclear activity. But this is what you get: a release perhaps from economic sanctions, that you'll be treated as a normal country economically, and that's what we can offer you.
So, John, as we wait to find out if diplomacy can continue going forward, I want to ask you also if any more details have emerged about the U.S. naval blockade of Iranian ports along the Strait of Hormuz, like how it's being put together or how it's intended to work going forward.
Yeah, I think you mentioned the main deal, Mohammed, which is that the U.S. Army authority that's in charge of this, which is U.S. Central Command, has said that not a single ship has got through. We were hearing differently yesterday that one ship might have got through the blockade, but it seems that it only got through the Strait of Hormuz itself and is now stuck on the other side of it in front of the blockade. They said that they sent 6 vessels back the way they came, and they went when they were ordered to. There's a huge naval force that the US has gathered to try and enforce this blockade. More than a dozen warships, they say dozens of aircraft, 10,000 plus personnel there, whether they...
So AKA they let the Chinese ship through, but and any other country though, we're on your ass. Why? Because you're not a superpower. I mean, like I said, it makes sense like that we wouldn't touch China, but any other country is obviously going to get the shutdown.
Be Marines or soldiers or airmen who are all working together to keep this blockade going. That's obviously quite an expense, and it's also a diplomatic expense. A lot of Iranian oil, for example, goes towards China. That's Iran's biggest customer, and about a third of China's domestic oil needs are met from Iran. So the longer that this goes on, the more those needs aren't going to be met. Will that then make China put pressure on Iran to negotiate with the United States, or just anger that country? We don't know yet. So there is a gamble here, and there is also a sense that the longer that this blockade goes on, the more it makes things economically worse for the global energy market, but also by the United States, that's not immune to that. So there's a lot of different...
And trust me, it is not looking so good for our energy market, nor inflation, because like I said, gas prices are up. Inflation went up by 0.9%. And guys, this is not what we voted for. If you're MAGA, this is not what we voted for. But for some reason, you guys are okay with this. Bro, you guys are okay with the backtracking for a war with Iran? Bro, I literally hear this stupid ass like statement of, well, I'd rather have higher gas prices than Iran have a nuclear weapon. I'm like, bro, you dumbass. First off, Iran doesn't got a nuclear weapon, so you're accepting higher gas prices for no goddamn reason. 2, they don't even have a nuclear weapons program. And that's by our own intelligence. So basically, you're saying that you want to take higher gas prices for no goddamn reason. So it's kind of killing me how like the cope is real out here. The fact that you guys are now saying that, oh, high gas prices are good as long as we're destroying Iran. Like, do you hear how y'all sound right now? Like, I'll be real with you guys. Yeah, y'all sound ridiculous, but okay.
Different factors, but for the moment, the blockade continues, and the hope of further talks in a couple of days if President Trump's remarks be taken at face value is also there in the air.
All right, that's Al Jazeera's John Holman live for us.
All right, guys, make sure to double tap that screen and like the video, guys. We got about 300 y'all in here, man. Do me a favor and double tap that screen. Appreciate the support. Now let's go ahead and get on to the next video here. Let's see. Yep, here it is.
A lot of course, mistrust between.
Tonight,
Let's see what these guys.
could talks between the U.S. and Iran be starting back up again? President Trump teased that very possibility today, telling the New York Post that to stay in Pakistan because, quote, something could be happening over the next 2 days. If talks continue later this week, sources tell CNN that Vice President J.D. Vance will once again lead those negotiations.
There's a lot of course, mistrust between Iran and the United States of America. You're not going to solve that problem overnight, but I feel very good about where we are.
So a lot of optimism from the president and his vice president.
Ooh.
But Peter, it's not the first time that
Hold on. How? We don't have control of their nuclear enrichment program. We don't have the enriched uranium. We don't have regime change. Their missiles are still going. Drones are still flying. Wait. Like, you like this? You like this position? Because I don't. I think this is a losing position. We're not losing the war, but we're not seeing any real progress. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, whoa, I like this position. I don't.
we've heard them express optimism about a negotiation when maybe that was a little bit too on the bright side. The gaps that they have to kind of bridge between Iran and the U.S. are still pretty large. President Trump told the New York Post that he was not pleased with reports that the U.S. had asked Iran to suspend its uranium enrichment for at least 2 decades during the last weekend's unsuccessful talks. I've been saying they can't have nuclear weapons, so I don't like the 20 years. Understandable. But Iran is at 5 years. So even
I can see why they said 20 years. Like, look, bro, within that time, we'll probably have some chiller president that'll be what? I guess that'll be okay with y'all, with our nuclear enrichment program. But until then, 20 years, Iran, just chill out. And once again, they just told us to F off. They're just not doing it. Oh, guys, make sure to like the video.
getting to 20 years seems hard to do. Getting to never, ever, ever seems even harder.
And that's something that Donald Trump throughout negotiations has been very good at, is throwing something on the table and then removing it. Traditionally in a negotiation, you put it on the table. If it's on the table, great, it's up for discussion. It's kind of a sacrosanct thing. That is not his approach. Where we are right now, and I think this is where you see the naval blockade that the U.S. has started to enforce against Iranian ships that have left port in Iran or that are going to ports in Iran, forcing them to turn back, forcing them to not continue on their journey, denying the Iranians that oil revenue. That is ratcheting up the pressure against the regime to an inordinate amount. And where we are right now, frankly, I feel good about.
Do you have any reason to feel good about it? Meaning, like, any indications that we're actually...
okay. And this was so confusing about this. So y'all taking this as a dub, even though, like I said, we don't have control of their nuclear enrichment. We don't got regime change. Their missile system has only been, 33% decimated. So they're still working with probably about a good 60 to 70% of their missiles still. Their drones, they still got those in those underground cities. So I'm sorry, but what does this blockade really do? Because we already was dealing with an economically starved country. You remember their whole currencies literally in the trash right now, right? You remember that? So I'm sorry, but they was able to pop off warfare even with a trash economy because they're a self-reliant country. Everything is made in-house. Missiles made in-house. They don't got to get no parts from nowhere like we do. They don't got to ship no parts in or nothing. They just make everything in-house. This is why they're able to push out 300 missiles a month, and we can only push out 600 a year.
Close to a deal, other than the president saying 2 days?
We don't know, except for minor leaks, what has come out of the Islamabad talks and what the consequences have been when the Iranian delegation returned to Tehran and their conversations, right? We're relying on leaks there. But the reality is that the screws are being tightened to an inordinate degree against that regime at the moment. If I were in their shoes and looking around at all my options, you don't have any. So the question between 5 years and 20 years and never years, going between all of that, that is where ultimately at the end of the day, they need to figure out what is in their best interest.
I thought that regime was deposed, for one. And two, I think
the Mullah, Ayatollah Khamenei
listen,
is dead. Most of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard leadership are dead.
The fact is that we're still arguing for the same things that the JCPOA did.
No.
I mean, and
yeah, ballistic missiles and proxies.
Actually, if you want to go back to it, we actually had a deal in place where there was no nuclear enrichment within 20 years. We had this conversation last night. And correct, exactly, which we don't have right now. And then we also had inspectors going in, being able to check, trust, and verify what they were doing. We don't have that right now.
Which also would have ended a year.
But we also have something that most people don't want, which is that in order to get...
And this is what kills me, bro, because the left is always going to cook the right with the JCPOA. I'm like, bro, if we're going to war over their whole nuclear enrichment, then Obama had the best plan with the JCPOA, where we had inspectors on their ass, and we made sure that they were only doing that 3.6% enrichment. So if this was all about, their nuclear enrichment capabilities gotten out of control, well, Obama had that under wraps with the JCPOA that Trump got out of. And then what was it? I think after that, and he put the sanctions back on. He designated the IRGC a terrorist group, and then he killed General Qasem Soleimani. Those are 3 acts of aggression, all from 2018 to 2020. And in 2021, that's when these guys popped out with a 60% enrichment as a deterrent to keep us from, attacking them. I'm down. Obviously, you guys know from Midnight Hammer and from this war, that didn't really work out as it being a deterrent.
To where you're talking about, which is actually destroying their entire nuclear program, we have to put boots on the ground. And nobody wants to say, first of all, let's not lie to the American people. We actually know that their nuclear enrichment program is actually deep. Exactly. Yes. So let's not lie to folk and just say that we can just bomb from on. You cannot destroy their entire nuclear enrichment program unless you put boots on the ground. That's a fact. That's not something we're making up. That's not something we're just talking.
I mean, yeah, U.S. intelligence, and I mean, let's be real. A lot of people will tell you this if they know anything about Iran. Iran got underground cities. They have missile silos that we cannot reach. They got missiles firing out of mountains. Like, you thought it was a rock? No, the rock opened up and now it's firing a missile. Like, bro, they got it like that out there. They've literally layered these big ass mountains in Iran as like a 3 to 5 layer base underground, guys. Literally having underground cities stored with missiles and drones. That's why we say, if you want regime change, if you want to take out the IRGC, you have to put boots on the ground. There is no other way.
The Iranians, if in the context of a diplomatic negotiation, say, you know what, that highly enriched uranium we're sitting on, it is no longer beneficial for us to do that.
Bakari, we have boots on the water right now. I mean, let's
there's
not.
A ship in between.
Well, yes, I know there's a ship in between, but that ship can easily be targeted by Iranians, and they would be toast. So we have American lives. You're telling me that you don't think...
We've also lost American lives.
We've lost American lives, and we have American lives at risk there right now. So let's not pretend we don't.
I'm not going to dispute that. You're absolutely right. And there are realistically going to be boots on the ground. We have boots on the boat. That's
why is that realistically, though?
Why is it realistic? I'm agreeing with you.
I mean, I hear you.
Because I've heard a lot of reasons why people are really against what Trump has done, but I'm also not really hearing a rational response why we should let Iran just be. To pretend that this war was completely unnecessary.
Well, no. Yeah, the war was completely unnecessary because we could have got here through diplomatic means. And if this is about Iran not having a bomb, well, Iran nipped that in the butt for us in 2004. Now, this is about Iran not having any nuclear enrichment, or we having monitor of their nuclear enrichment. Obama nipped that in the butt in 2015. So it's like, basically, if we'd have just kept things the way they were, we wouldn't be here.
And pretending that Iran is not a threat and pretending it's normal.
Oh God, make sure to double tap that screen, like the video, guys. If you got any question, comment, jokes, or disagreements, or you just want to support the stream, just go ahead and send a super chat, $2 and up. Appreciate the support, guys.
That they swear in their president and Ayatollah screaming death to America and pretending that enrichment is not a problem, whether it's short term or long term, when a regime literally hates Western values, when a regime attacks our allies. I also think it's being ignorant. Now, I don't want to copy what Europe is doing, where they want to mortgage their future for 10 years of comfortability at the expense of a long-term problem. So I appreciate the fact then maybe it's short-term pain for a longer-term solution. Is it ideal?
No. What's the pain? Because I heard the talking points and they're great, and I actually agree with some of you because I some of what you said. Because listen, I don't want a nuclear enriched Iran. I don't think Iran deserves to have a nuclear weapon. I think they sponsored terror for 40 years. I think they want to destroy America. I think they want to destroy Israel. I agree with all of those points, but I'm not the short-term pain thing. You just can't leap over that. So
I think that
now here's the thing: we had Iran exactly where we wanted them. The problem is we effed that up through our aggression from 2018 to now. We just effed all that good diplomacy up. And we had their nuclear enrichment monitored under JCPOA. They had a religious fatwa saying it's literally a sin against God to have a nuclear weapon. And we blew that guy up. So now we don't even know if that stands anymore, but we'll see. But like I said, if this is about Iran having nuclear enrichment or even getting to a nuclear bomb, all this was nipped in the bud already, but Trump kind of dismantled it.
Find that for me as we go forward, because
short-term pain, we're paying more for everything. I'm not going to sit here and deny that gas is not going to go up and groceries are unaffordable. I'm not going to be ignorant, but I also feel like if we don't do it now, I'm 24. It's going to bite me in the ass down the road at some point.
No,
I don't trust in Iran. I don't like that they're sponsoring terrorism. It's death to Israel, but it's death to America after that.
But respectfully,
respectfully, do you even know why they say this? And that's what I'm saying. It's always, well, they say death to America. Why do they say death to America? Do you even know why? Because, people just don't wake up one morning and just say, you know what, I just wish death on all the people in America. Usually you got to do something to them for them to have that idea of you. Okay, like, I'm pretty sure we can all agree on that, right? Right. So look up Operation Ajax. Understand that we have meddled in their government for years, and we're basically the reason why we're even dealing with the Ayatollah. We greenlit the Ayatollah to come in out of France after, well, pretty much the Iranian Revolution popped off, because we put a Shah in that was pretty much betraying his own people. Like, I'm sorry, but we've been effing around in Iran for a minute now. Yo, we funded Saddam to go to war with Iran, and then we helped this guy get chemical weapons to use against Iranians. Like, what, you thought they forgot that? Oh, and don't forget our undying support for Israel across the region and what we let them do to the Palestinians, what we let them do in southern Lebanon. I mean, oh, you didn't think that was going to create problems either? This is why I hate Middle Eastern intervention, because it creates nothing but problems.
Do you think that
we had a deal in place?
But do you think
it was
but when
not
you were like I hear you're 24 now, when you were 16, we had a deal in place, and that deal is something that actually prevented them more so then from having a nuclear weapon than where we are today.
And what I will add too is
let me let Sarah have a word.
I will add that it took 20 months to negotiate the JCPOA, and then we also look at the Iraq-Iran war that lasted 8 years. I think the Iranian regime feels like they actually have the upper hand because it's in Trump's best interest to wrap this up, because he knows that the American people are not on board with this war. They're not on board with the short-term pain.
I'm going to tell you this, like, not only the American people not on board with the war, not on board with the whole message of, what is it, short-term pain for long-term gain. Yeah, we're not with that. That kind of sounds kind of dumb to us. We didn't vote for that. Okay, if you'd have told us we need to go through short-term pain for long-term gain, we'd have told you to kick rocks. So no, I'm sorry. Like, to be quite honest, dude, it is irritating when they say that. I kind of lost my train of thought in irritation.
It's like they actually have the upper hand because it's in Trump's best interest to wrap this up, because he knows that the American people are not on board with this war. They're not on board with the short-term pain, if that's what you're saying. Because
yeah, now I remember my point. Okay, it was pretty much about the fact that, oh yeah, the longer this Strait of Hormuz stay closed, the longer the blockage lasts, the longer the traffic stays pretty much piled up in the Strait of Hormuz. Day by day, it gets worse on the global economy. Day by day, it's the damages are going to be, well, worse and worse, to a point where it takes longer and longer to recover to back to where we were in February 28th. So yeah, that's the problem here. So it's not just about the irritation of the American people. It's also about the further damage that this is causing on the global economy, and how it's already about to take at least 6 months, according to experts. If this keeps on going if this keeps on getting dragged out, then it can go from 6 months to a year of economic recovery. And then I'm gonna be real with you. Trump is gonna pretty much bush it. The Republicans are gonna lose, most likely the House and the Senate. And then you guys are gonna be crying to me about what? Open borders and abortion. But I'm sorry, but you sold out for war with Iran, so I don't want to hear it.
I feel like there is no end in sight right now. It's wishful thinking for him to think that he's going to be able to wrap this up. And that's on.
Well, maybe we should have asked MAGA that in the beginning. Like, if I'd have told y'all, look, bro, war with Iran or 9-month abortions with open borders, pick. Pick. No, dead ass, because that's what y'all choosing right now. This is what it is. You pick war with Iran, you throw away the Republicans' chances of getting any ground in the elections, and now we got to deal with the Dems. So take your pick. You want open borders and 9-month abortions or war with Iran?
His timeline, but for the Iranians, I think that they actually know that they have Trump backed into a corner right now because the American.
Well, I think they have one
more. I also think it's wishful thinking to think that there's not going to be a regime there that
hey, whoever typed in war, bro, you childish.
Is going to be anti-Western and be screaming
But
death
at
to
least
America.
have them be afraid of America.
They're not afraid.
I promise
they are fundamentalists.
They don't like where they are.
No, but listen,
right now.
What people don't understand is what these fundamentalists over there who have not been deposed, who have not changed. It's like with gray hairs. You're 24, you don't have any. You pluck one out, 3 more come out.
I just love that.
I agree. You can kill the person. You can't kill the ideology.
There has been no regime change.
To Sarah's point, getting a long-term deal, a permanent deal with Iran on their nuclear capabilities, on their ballistic missiles, on their funding of terror proxies is probably not going to happen in 6 days.
No,
I mean, is that realistic?
I think it's going to be initially there can be signals of what is on the table and what remains to be negotiated. And on the Iranian side of the house, committing to having free and open trade.
I know it. I promise, bro. I better not hear any guy from MAGA trying to call anybody a traitor. Y'all are literally picking Democrat dominance, 9-month abortions, open borders, women and men's sports, all the stuff that they pretty much push on us. That tells you that every Dem does. All that you guys are fear mongering on, you're gonna let happen for war with Iran. I just want to let you know this. And y'all better not call nobody no damn traitor when that shit goes down. We're gonna be looking at your asses like, no, y'all sold out. Y'all let the Dems go in power because y'all was bloodthirsty for Iranian blood. This is on you guys, not us. I was trying to call it out. But no. I'm an American. I'm a liberal now, even though I'm a conservative, by the way.
Through the Strait of Hormuz. Now, on the U.S. side of the house, we still have sanctions that we're enforcing against the Iranians. So that's a point of contention.
So in other words, not a grand bargain, not the deal.
You're not going to get a grand bargain in a week.
Well, I mean, I'm telling you, this is what J.D. Vance says that that Trump wants a grand bargain. I don't think that they're being transparent with the American people about when that could feasibly happen, if it can happen at all.
But not only transparency. I mean, it's just like, if we're going to do this, why can't you calculate just what happens in the Strait of Hormuz? Why can't you calculate or understand what insurance companies are going to do in response to that? Like, we have been caught off guard every single step of the way. You're shaking your head. No.
I'm shaking my head.
Why? Tell me, explain to me, because
if there's any industry that
because now
Donald
we're paying,
Trump
now
would not have a very comprehensive and competent understanding of within his administration. I mean, what was the whole, Donald Trump is a sucker for the oil industry. Oh my God, he's got so many oil executives in there.
First of all,
the Strait of Hormuz,
Trump did say that he didn't expect them.
Correct.
Not
only that, cutting off their nose to spite their strength.
I'm just telling you what he said.
Up and depose.
He did say
exactly, but the Strait of Hormuz, it delivers 25% of the world's oil. And right now, oil prices in the country, in the United States of America, are up 50%. Like, we're not actually out here saying that Donald Trump is some magical genius. What we're saying is that he failed. Like, they failed.
I want to go back to what we were speaking about earlier, because I wanted to ask.
Currently, he's failing on affordability. Currently, he's failing on affordability. Currently, he's failing on inflation. Currently, he's failing on gas prices. I mean, he ain't lying. Like, and I hate to admit that, but he ain't lying. But at least he succeeded on, closing the border. And he brought down the prescription prices. So that's cool. That's cool.
Pay off?
No deep state arrest, though. Just want to let y'all know that. No Epstein files arrests. They still out there. Just letting you know that. But all right, though, let's get on to Fox News. Okay, and let's make sure we're double tapping that screen and liking the video, guys. Let's go ahead and get to 100 likes. You can help me do that by double tapping that screen. Appreciate the support. If you got any questions, comments, jokes, or disagreements, I'll be happy to read it out loud and engage with it. Just $2 and up. Appreciate the support, guys. Let's get right into it.
Is President Trump's squeeze on Iran starting to pay off? The blockade of the Strait of Hormuz hitting day 2, and 47 telling the Post the second round of talks with Iran could be happening over the next 2 days. J.D. Vance telling Brett Baer, our very own, how Iranian negotiators didn't have the authority to agree to Trump's terms and needed to go back to Tehran to get approval. Watch.
Really, the ball is very much in their court. The only thing the Iranians have been able to do, they haven't, of course, beaten us militarily. They've had their military been decimated. They haven't been able to prosecute the case when it comes to weapons of war. What they have done is engage in this act of economic terrorism against the entire world. The President of the United States showed two can play at that game.
And how's this for a petty twist? Democrats and the liberal media sound like they'd rather see Iran come out ahead just so Trump doesn't score a win.
I really don't want to see Bibi Netanyahu or Donald Trump politically strengthened by this war because they are two awful human beings. And so I really find myself torn.
And now deceased Supreme Leader, who I'm not mourning his death, right? A very bad person.
I'm gonna be real with you though. Bibi Netanyahu is an awful person though. I'm gonna be real with you. That and he completely made America look stupid on the world stage. We got that ceasefire. Iran opened up the Strait of Hormuz for 1 hour. Israel carries out like one of the biggest strikes in Lebanon, 100 strikes, they say, within 10 minutes, and then they close it right back down. So it's just like Israel, bro. How are they our greatest ally again, guys? How? Because you know it's so crazy. You know how everybody like to bring up those Marine deaths and all that good stuff? You know, Israel knew about that, right? And they let it happen. But that's our greatest ally. Greatest ally let an attack happen on our Marines that we bring up to this very day. Just want to let y'all know that.
Did have a fatwa in place that said no development of nuclear weapons. The problem is now second eldest son, Ali Khamenei, doesn't believe in that fatwa.
Donald Trump also told the demented lie in attacking the Pope that Iran wants to, quote, exterminate the world.
Well, Dana, I got to give them credit for honesty. I mean, they really can't decide who they want to win, Iran or America.
It's like hard to say this, but I guess we're going to have to go with Iran.
Yeah, oh well.
Well, you know, now we know. We don't have to guess. And I guess
no, it's not about winning. It's about the effect that it has on your everyday civilian. And how most people want it to stop because, look, y'all over there with y'all $1 million contracts, and I'm happy for you. God bless. But mostly everybody out here is just working a regular job, and they're dealing, and these high gas prices really hits them. That inflation really hits them. So when y'all just sit here and be like, oh, what, and we complain about the price, oh, what, you're cheering for Iran? Because I'm sorry, but you guys sound just like the Dems. Oh, we're at 9% inflation. Oh, what are you, MAGA? Well, no, but Biden stumbling his words. Oh, what are you, an ageist? What are you, a magtard? Like, y'all sound just like them now. We call out the obvious, and now all of a sudden we support Iran. Like, come on now.
that's fine. I thought that when the vice president revealed that the Iranians couldn't make a deal because they have to go back to Tehran, that's pretty interesting because it means that they probably don't have a way to communicate in a way that doesn't reveal the location because the Ayatollah, you know that guy you keep talking about. Maybe he was like, I'll just sit here and we have to do everything by pen and paper at this point. I feel like, you know, in reality shows, which I don't watch a ton of, but in reality shows where they just keep you hanging on, like, and if you stay around to after the next commercial break, then you might find out who did it. That's what I feel like. In the next 2 days, there might be talks. I don't know. We just started the blockade. We'll see what happens. There's a lot of maneuvering going on. China is involved, et cetera. There's, again, as Greg Gutfeld would say, Dana, you're so intelligent because you're saying you don't know what's going to happen.
I know it's going to happen. Trump's going to get angry when it takes 3 days for the gay Ayatollah to say, this is no good or this is good. That's going to be so frustrating.
I think gayness is the least of his worries right now. I think breathing.
No, there was a CIA report suggesting, not confirmed, but suggesting that the Ayatollah was gay, which was hilarious. because he said he had a relationship with his tutor, and I'm just like, so whoa, y'all saying that he's gay because he had a male tutor? I mean, okay. Any proven sexual history? No, he just had a very close relationship with his tutor. Okay, I mean, all right. If that's, I mean, I guess that's cause some kind of weird, but if that's what y'all going on to make somebody gay, then shit, man. I mean, a lot of people is gay then if that's the case.
Might be higher up on his list, and I'm not quite sure he's doing
That's
that.
the bar.
I think what we're witnessing is weekend at Khomeini's, and it's not going well for either side. You know, it would be like if Kamala Harris were negotiating, because right now we have two sets of people we're negotiating with: the people in the room who don't have any power, and the people who are terrified in Tehran who hate the United States so much they would rather pull Iran down with the rest of the world. And if Kamala Harris were negotiating,
Yeah, that's asymmetric warfare. Is damaging the global economy to the point where we don't want to continue to work. It's going to be too much on us as well. That's the game that we kind of knew they were going to play against us. It wasn't going to be a fair war. It's like, bro, we're punching Iran in the face while they're kicking us in the nuts. It's like, this is not a fair fight here. And we're playing it fair. Like, we're meeting them up top, but obviously they're not trying to do that with us, so they wouldn't have closed the Strait of Hormuz.
we'd have
Oh,
like,
and they also
so
wouldn't have started attacking our bases in the region as well. But like I said, it's why it's an asymmetrical game. Destroy bases, attack energy infrastructure, threaten the global economy. Only how Iran can. They're in a very special spot. I mean, the geography works out for them.
for Kamala Harris, where she would be able to explain everything, and then the rosé all day one who would be laughing and talking about falling out of a coconut tree. I do think that JD Vance has comported.
Oh God, do me a favor and double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Let's get more people on the conversation by double tapping that screen. We're at 54 likes, man. Let's get to 75. Let's go ahead and double tap that screen real quick, and let's get right back to it.
Himself well. I hope that the talks go well. I don't have any faith in Iran. I think that they are stubborn. I think that they are murderous. They are incredibly desperate, yet somehow they're not out of missiles. And that makes them more of a force than I think anyone had anticipated. I think the president and the Secretary of War thought that this would go as smoothly as the first Iranian incursion and the Venezuela bout did. And we're not seeing that. And to Dana's point, we don't know the terminus. I hope the next round of talks give us more confidence and bring us to a close.
I mean, you do see the light at the end of the tunnel. They have not attacked any of these destroyers in the Strait.
Yep.
Talks do seem to be moving in the right direction, and China does feel pressure. So you can kind of see this thing, how it winds down.
This does dovetail with the Dana theory that this is a sweeps week gambit aimed at the spring ratings book. I think it's good. I think it's very TV of us, and I agree. And since we're talking about TV,
bro, I'm sorry, but Andrew, are you retarded? First off, it's asymmetric warfare, not welfare, dumbass. And I mean, I'll tell you, since you're that much of a dumbass, and for everybody else in the chat who don't know, you're not a dumbass. He's just a dumbass for being a smartass. We're thinking that he's being a smartass. But look, it's a conflict between pretty much two powers with significantly unequal military, technological, and economic power. So, like Iran, is not as strong as the United States military, technologically, or economically. So the weaker side uses unconventional tactics such as, well, what did the Vietnamese use? Guerrilla warfare, terrorism, sometimes even cyber attacks. And in this case, what did Iran use? Because they could have just took our army up top and got decimated, but instead they're kind of making us hold in our place by holding the surrounding allies hostage and pretty much engaging in asymmetrical warfare by closing the Strait of Hormuz and driving up prices on the world, pretty much getting the world to push us. So that's asymmetrical warfare. I'm sorry, but I thought this would be pretty easy to understand, seeing how this war is going. Like, obviously they're not fighting us up top. Obviously they're not playing fair, and we know this. I mean, they closed down the Strait of Hormuz, guys. They started attacking their allies and our bases in the region, which, I mean, attacking our bases is fair. But when he started attacking inside the Gulf cities, yeah, and started attacking energy infrastructure, yeah, that's all part of asymmetric warfare, my friend.
Talks at all times like he's trying to hold in a fart. I know that's not very adult of me on a serious show of this stature.
So serious.
But when he says Iran and President Trump, I'm like, dude, just let it go. You don't know everybody in this elevator. They'll be off at the next floor. But the Thomas Friedman thing, you have to admire the candor on some level. Okay, because he's flat out saying we're in a nuclear standoff for all intents and purposes. We don't want them to have a nuke. He concedes that's a problem, but says my own political preferences are more important than the existential threat we're dealing with. That's a level of self-absorption that I got to be honest with you. The people in
No problem, Andrew. No problem. But now sit on your fingers.
Iran rooting for a settlement right now are not sitting in their caves in fear with their soul in a fetal position going, I just hope it doesn't happen under this Khomeini because he's a dirtbag. If we can get to the midterms, it's embarrassing, man.
Yeah, the market liked day 2 of the blockade, Harold, and it looks like the S&P's recovered all the losses since the beginning of the war.
So a couple of things. The market did. It recovered and continues to because it's believing there's going to be a second meeting and believes that we may find some resolution here. There are 2 goals we're trying to get. And I never liked differing with DP on anything, but I didn't think Vance was particularly effective yesterday. He said that they were inches away from an agreement, but he didn't believe the people in the room were able to settle on an agreement. And then
No, bro. See, and it's the cap. It is the cap. Bro, they had the Iranian foreign minister there, and then they had the minister of the parliament. So they had pretty high delegates there. And the problem is, US gave their proposal and they said no. Now, because they don't want to face the embarrassment of pretty much, the Iranians pretty much stood us in our face and then walked away after we told the American people that they capitulated and they're crawling for a ceasefire. Yeah, we got to maintain that position. So what we're going to tell the American people is that, they had to go back to the Ayatollah. They had to go back and get permission from Daddy Ayatollah. When in actuality, they just told us to F off, and we're not doing that. You gotta love the propaganda.
For 21 hours, this is a 6,000-year-old civilization that feels like their country and what they represent is facing and has an existential threat posed to them. They were not going to solve this in 21 hours. I thought there was progress made there, but I wouldn't have criticized the people there in the room like he did, but maybe that's part of the strategy they have. With 2 goals here. First, open up the strait. That's why the market is responding as it is. And 2, the most important is to ensure that they cannot make a nuclear weapon and they can't threaten us or our allies in the region. Now, I said yesterday, the blockade has been a success. It's a success because we are depriving the Iranians of money. Now, it was reported today that a Chinese vessel got through, then it had to come back through. I'm curious as we get some more reporting this evening from some of our reporters and other outlets to figure out what exactly happened there. I do hope that we, the United States, are not cherry picking or deciding who can get through, who cannot get through.
Bro, what are we going to do about it? It's China. Like, what? We're just going to start bombing Chinese ships? And then what? When they bomb one of ours, we're popping off World War III? Like, no, nobody want to risk that. That's why I said last night, I'm like, I'm not really sure how this is going to hold out. Bro, if China or Russia pulls up, what are we going to do? Like, are we really going to sit there and threaten to blow them up? No, we're going to let them go through.
Awful precedent for commercial.
It didn't leave an Iranian port. That's why.
Right. So I think it sets. You're probably right, and I trust you. But my point is, this is a bad precedent to set in a commercially important piece of geography. And I hope if the White House and the Department of War are of this position, they need to share with the world and us what the real goal is here. But the blockade, in my estimation, the reason it's so important is that it's depriving them of money, and I'm hopeful that this will force them back to the table.
Up to $434 million a day.
Exactly, $500 million a day they're losing. So finally, the losing the money is great. I don't think all Democrats are rooting.
Bro, you know how much money we lose in a day? I'm sorry, but it's killing me when they're saying, they're losing like millions of dollars a day. Dog, we're losing billions of dollars a day on this war, on this conflict every single day. You want to talk about Iran losing millions? I'm sorry, we're losing billions, my friends, billions. That's what's got to kill me when they're going we finally make Iran lose millions. Bro, like I said, I'm be real with you, Iran don't really need that Strait of Hormuz fee to keep fighting us. We're acting like, if we just take away the Strait of Hormuz and just not let them allow to make money off it, they won't be able to fight. No, they'll still be able to fight, guys. They still will. That's not really doing anything. But I mean, hey, Hey, if we're still, but hey, if we're willing to delude ourselves with that, and that gets us to talk with them again, then okay, whatever. But I'm gonna be real with you. Talks are gonna go the same way if we pull up with the same attitude of, oh, you're just gonna go ahead and give up all your enrichment. And maybe we just stick to the enrichment. We can get that. But as soon as we veer off towards ballistic missiles and proxies, the Iranians are gonna go tell us to screw ourselves like they did the past 3 times. It's the 3rd time they did this.
For the Iranians, I'm a Democrat. I have a lot of friends who are Democrats. We want the United States to win. I think that what Tom Friedman, I didn't quite understand it fully, but I think he dislikes Trump so much he doesn't want this to be a victory for Trump. But I want America to win, and that means the president, who's our commander in chief, will win as well. Finally, we are probably going to end up, Jesse, and everybody around the table with an agreement between us and the Iranians that's going to look a lot closer to what Obama negotiated several years ago than not. I don't think the Obama deal was as bad as some people think. I won't go as far as my friend from the great senator from Virginia, Tim Kaine, who said it would be the worst. It's the worst thing ever. But I do think if we'll look back and wonder why we withdrew ourselves from that agreement, if indeed we have to agree to something very similar a few years later.
We'll see. I'm not so sure you're right. You're probably
I hope I'm not. I hope I'm not. But if I am right, I hope you say I'm right.
Okay. Yeah, if you're right, they're getting a lot. If you're right, they're getting a lot of cash in the mail, so that's good news for them.
Right, but it means that, and perhaps a few other things. We want 20 years. They want less than 10. Is how long they will not enrich uranium.
Well, neither of those things is never, which is what the obligation was.
Yeah, because Trump said he want 100% everything. So he says never, you will never be able to enrich uranium. And Iranians are just saying no. And there's a problem. I mean, they're being reasonable. They're like, bro, 20 years, no, but we'll do 10. We'll do 10. And I'm like, all right. I mean, I'm cool with that. But not Trump. It needs to be never, ever in their lifespan as a civilization. I mean, if we keep on playing that route, then or if we keep on demanding that, then we're not going to get a ceasefire with Iran. And this war going to keep going because at a certain point, we're just going to have to put boots on the ground, just take out Iran completely if we want to gain control of their nuclear stockpile. It is what it is. Either we do it through diplomatic means or boots on the ground.
Right.
But think about it, we're never
I'm
going
agreeing with you.
They're never going to not do it. They want a nuclear weapon. We've got to bring them into the Western world where they don't want to harm us and our friends. I don't mean to keep going.
It's okay, Harold. We love you.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows.
All right, now let's go over here to Piers Morgan. It was It was Mehdi Hassan versus a pro-Israel guy. What is this guy's name? I think he's like ex-IDF. No, he's ex. I think he's ex-Mossad. I'm pretty sure he's ex-Mossad or ex-IDF, one of the two.
What are we talking about? Wake up. This is the face of terror with the bomb that's being stopped. President Trump, Prime Minister Netanyahu, and it should be the entire Western world, has an opportunity to stop this before it happens.
I'm hearing him talk about monsters in charge of governments, the face of terror, nuclear weapons. Who are we talking about here, Iran or Israel? Which country in the Middle East attacked 6 countries in the Middle East last year? 6. It wasn't Iran, it was Israel.
You're in absolute denial, and so was Candace Owens, and so is Tucker Carlson.
I'm not here to speak for Tucker Carlson.
Guys, make sure you double tap that screen, like the video, guys. Let's get more people on the conversation by double tapping that screen. If you have any questions, comments, jokes, or disagreements, I'll be happy to read it out loud and engage with it. Just $2 and up. Appreciate the support, guys.
Also, Candace Owens, who I've been very critical of. I'm not here to speak for Iran, who I've been very critical of. I'm here to talk about facts.
You're defending. You sound like Mehdi Khamenei.
Of course.
We just want
go for racist insult.
2014.
That's all you have left.
We murdered 300 terrorists last week, and I think those are your people.
Wow.
The people of Lebanon were supposed to be enjoying a badly needed break from the bombing. President Trump had announced a 2-week ceasefire. The US and the Pakistanis were clear initially that it included the Israeli war against Hezbollah. Instead, Israel launched a blitz. Hundreds were killed and thousands wounded by an IDF bombardment under the chilling codename Operation Eternal Darkness. The death toll in Lebanon is now more than 2,000, according to the health ministry. As I said on this show 3 weeks ago, all debate about whether Israel forced Trump to start the war will soon be a question of whether Israel is the barrier to ending it. While many Israelis believe the war is righteous and necessary, the damage to Israel's global standing could be devastating. Spain is openly calling Netanyahu a war criminal. This weekend, Turkey compared him to Hitler. And record numbers.
Hell yeah, he is. Those 100 strikes that he carried out in southern Lebanon, bro, he hit mostly civilians. Like, bro, I'm talking about kids, women, civilians. Not, bro. He barely hit Hezbollah. Actually, bro took an entire, and I'm talking about Israel. Israel took an entire village in Lebanon off the map. Like, it is gone. Let me see here.
Now look unfavorably on Israel and the United States, where plenty of people think there's an increasing body of evidence that Netanyahu forced Trump into a disaster. Well, joining me to debate this is Mehdi Hassan, founder of Zeteo News, and Doran Spielman, the reservist IDF spokesman and author of When the Stones Speak. Right, well, welcome to both of you. Doran Spielman, welcome back to Uncensored. The New York Times piece that came out several days ago painted a pretty extraordinary picture of the Prime Minister of Israel sitting in the Situation Room at the White House with the head of Mossad appearing on a large screen and painting a picture of what would happen if the United States joined Israel in taking out the supreme leader of Iran and his top people who were all going to be congregating. That inevitably what would happen is the IRGC, the sort of ruling regime underneath the supreme leader, would collapse. The people of Iran would rise up, and that nobody would care or notice the Strait of Hormuz. That would be an irrelevance to all this. And all that's happened is that, and a lot of people in the room on the American side thought this was fantasy land.
All right, I found it here. All right, guys, check this out here. So Al-Kamani, yeah, we're gonna say it like that, no longer exists. An entire Lebanese town gone in under a month of Israeli strikes, while ambassador meets in Washington to discuss a framework for peace. And Israel literally wants to annex southern Lebanon. They literally put that in the peace plan. They want a security buffer for at least like 20% of southern Lebanon. Then they want to claim the rest of southern Lebanon as Israeli territory. So Israel is literally annexing southern Lebanon as we speak, bro. This is crazy. And they're getting away with it. And nobody's really talking about it. But now, guys, like I said, this is literally an entire city, guys. And this is what happened when Israel got done with it. And Israel grimy because, bro, they'll even blow up the farms. Like, even the farms, I mean, they'll blow up anything. And it's the problem. I mean, this whole place, as you see, full of houses, full of, like, bro, streets, all this good stuff, a full network going on here. Then Israel comes through and goes. So, yeah. These are why people are kind of fed up with the Israelis right now, because it's like they just can't stop. They just can't stop with the war. They got to go to war with somebody.
And all that's happened is the first part happened. The Ayatollah and his top people were taken out in a successful strike. But the IRGC remain in place. The people haven't risen up. And the Iranians have worked out the Strait of Hormuz can be used as an economic weapon to rival anything that people can do against them militarily and cause enormous global economic damage. Do you accept that the Americans were sold a pup here?
Pierce, thank you for having me. I think actually, Pierce, we're going to look back at this as a war that was as consequential as perhaps if the West had information in 1936 to act against Nazi Germany. We have to put this in perspective. Wars take time. Iran has had 40 years to embed. There's not been a single U.S. president, starting with Ronald Reagan.
Guys, make sure to double tap that screen, like the video, guys. Let's get more people in the conversation by double tapping that screen, and let's even get to 100 likes, guys. Appreciate the support.
Who I greatly respect, going all the way through Clinton, Obama, and Biden, who's been willing to pay the political capital to stop the Iranian terror regime, the largest regime in the world, from developing a nuclear weapon. And why? Because it requires a preemptive strike. You have to preemptively stop Iran. If you don't preemptively stop Iran from having a bomb.
Yo, that's wild. He said, look, man, pretty much you just got to be an aggressor. Even if Iran's not doing anything, you just got to strike Iran, because they're just going to have a nuke that, we have no intelligence of them going for. And, oh, wait, we do. We have intelligence that they're not going for one. We have intelligence that they don't have a nuclear weapons program. So it's kind of crazy how he's saying, look, bro, you just got to, literally what he's saying, look, you just got to strike Iran. Why? Because, hey, man, that nuclear weapon that don't exist.
The alternative is you're only going to stop it when that bomb lands in your soil. And we don't want to have a 9/11 where instead of 2 passenger planes, we're dealing.
Here's the thing. Point me to the information. Point me to the CIA. I don't know, Mossad intel. Well, I ain't reading no Mossad intelligence, but point me to the CIA intelligence. Point me to the DNI intelligence that says Iran has a nuclear weapons program. Point me to that, and I'll concede the argument. Point me to anywhere that said Iran has the 90% enrichment. Point me to where you find that, and I'll concede the argument. But until then, you guys are going to war with Iran, honestly, for what? For honestly, in his eyes, to really just to stabilize the Middle East. But you're trying to frame it to the American people as if it's to stop them from getting a nuke, when it isn't. It is not at all. Actually, Trump completely moved the goalpost to Iran shouldn't have a nuclear bomb to now they can't even enrich. And I'm gonna be real with you, those are two different things. Having a bomb and enriching uranium, yeah, a bomb you can destroy stuff with. Enriching uranium, multiple uses. So it's kind of wild how we're just gonna sit here and let this guy lie to us as if we don't have intelligence already on the situation in Iran and how they don't have a nuclear program. They don't even have 90% enriched uranium to go towards a nuke. So what are we even talking about? Like, why are they fear-mongering, telling you that, well, we didn't do this, so we didn't strike them and raise gas prices, raise inflation. If we didn't do that, guys, Iran was going to hit you with a nuke in 2 weeks, 2 years, maybe 40, I don't know. But eventually it was going to happen.
With an atomic weapon. And I think President Trump has been incredibly consistent from the very beginning. And here, obviously, he shares a value with Israel, which is that Iran cannot be a nuclear regime. It's very, very simple. You cannot have an Iranian terror regime that instead of blocking the Straits of Hormuz with ballistic missiles, they can block the Straits of Hormuz with a nuclear weapon. You can't have a regime that when they shoot at Israel, which we've had more than 6,000 of their weapons, both from Hezbollah and Iran, we've had over 1,000 over the last 12 months, any one of them loaded with a nuclear weapon. And we have to take a step back here. We see the face of the regime. They're an evil monster. They're hitting their own allies. How could we even conceive that we would not take the opportunity to eliminate this before it grows? And the shock, Pierce, is that I have people like Mehdi, who's going to join us shortly, and people all over these kind of this liberal fantasy land that you can transplant what you hear in the Oxford corridors if you just act nice and you kind of reason with them. Well, maybe they want a bomb, but they're not really going to use it. It's only for civilian energy. What are we talking about? Wake up.
Bro, the reason why they even have 60% enrichment is because we got out the JCPOA. We designated the IRCG a terrorist group. We invoked the sanctions back on them. We killed a general. That's the only reason they're here, through U.S. aggression. Wake up. The only reason they're at a 60% enrichment is because of U.S. aggression. If we'd have never aggressed towards them, they would still be under the JCPOA with 3.6%. Wake up.
This is the face of terror with the bomb, and it's being stopped. And therefore, I think President Trump, Prime Minister Netanyahu, and it should be the entire Western world, has an opportunity to stop this before it happens. And I think, if anything, it's praiseworthy. Praiseworthy, Pierce.
Okay, Mehdi Hassan, it's praiseworthy.
Well, it's not praiseworthy. The entire war has been a disaster. I think everyone agrees on that. Even the Israeli opposition agrees it's been a disaster, the way Netanyahu and Trump have handled it. I think any objective person can look at the state of this war, even if you are pro the US government, pro the Israeli government, and say it's been a success. But let's put that to one side. I want to take on board what Doran said across the board, because a lot of it was pure projection. I mean, I'm hearing him talk about monsters in charge of governments, the face of terror, nuclear weapons. Who are we talking about here, Iran or Israel? Because I would ask a few questions for your viewers to consider today as they listen to Doran. Which country in the Middle East has nuclear weapons? It's not Iran, it's Israel. Which country in the Middle East has not signed the NPT, the Non-Proliferation Treaty? It's not Iran, it's Israel. Which country in the Middle East is defying a UN Security Council resolution calling for that country to open up its nuclear facilities to IAEA inspectors? It's not Iran, it's Israel. Which country in the Middle East attacked 6 countries?
Like I said, it is funny how Israel's being pressing, like, oh, they're about to make nukes. They're about to make nukes, and nobody knows about, and they want to be secret about it. Israel, like, bro, Israel has a secret nuclear program. Like, it's like a running joke in the global community. It's like, look, man, Israel got nukes. We all know they got nukes, but on paper, they don't got nukes. Why? Because we'd have to withdraw all of our funding from them because, well, they're a nuclear rogue state, honestly. They're not in they're not in the non-proliferation treaty. They didn't want to sign it. So, yeah, Israel's pretty much casting judgment on Iran for exactly what they're doing. They don't allow inspections of their nukes. I mean, look, if Iran turned around and told us, well, look, we'll allow inspection of our stockpile if you tell Israel to, I don't know, give up their nukes or allow inspection of their stockpile. We start losing our shit. But fair is fair. I'm be real with you. Israel's allowed to have nukes. Actually, they got the nukes behind our back. I mean, let's be real here, guys. It is kind of crazy that we're crying about nuclear enrichment of Iran, and they don't even got a nuke. They don't even got 9% enrichment. They don't have a nuclear bomb, but we got Israel here with illegal nuclear bombs that everybody, you know, got to claim ambiguity about. Wild.
The Middle East last year, 6. It wasn't Iran, it was Israel. So Iran, for all its many sins and crimes, is not the rogue nuclear state in the Middle East right now. That country is Israel. As you said, Piers, in your introduction, global public opinion has made it very clear that they see Israel as the threat to regional and international peace right now. You pointed out, Piers, that it's Benjamin Netanyahu dragging American Republican presidents into wars of choice, Iraq in 2002-3, and now Iran in 2025, 2026.
Yeah, I mean, Doris Spellman, the flaw in your argument is just a bunch of woolly liberals who didn't want this to happen.
Literally.
If you look at actually the reaction.
Sadly, that's the only real argument we're getting from the right. It's not a real coherent argument. It's not an argument against, is Iran an imminent threat or not? No, the argument is, stop being such a soft liberal. What are you, a lefty? And it's like, no, dude. The problem is you don't have a good argument for this. So now you're resorting to name calling. And that's all MAGA's been doing when it came to this Iran war. They don't have a good argument. They can't even substantiate themselves on what the goal of this war is. They know none of the goals, and if they can, they know none of the goals of the war has been reached. So they fall into this defensive position of calling you an American. What are you, a lefty? And you could be somebody who's conservative, and they'll do this to you because, well, they're a bit insecure about their position in this war. Because I'm be real with you, they got eyes, but they're in denial. Pray for my fellow MAGA brethren. Don't worry, they'll wake up. They'll wake up eventually. I woke up, so don't worry, they'll wake up. Well, I've been woke to the anti-war position. That's why I voted for Trump, because he said he wasn't going to do this bullshit, but it is what it is.
From American conservatives, you know, you got Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, Alex Jones. You've got Trump supporters like Joe Rogan, Theo Von, and others, the big podcasters who helped get him elected. There's a massive cross-section of very influential people, many of whom are conservative Trump supporters historically, who have condemned this war and want nothing to do with it. So I don't think you can just bat it away as, it's just a bunch of, liberals throwing their toys out of the pram. It's not.
I love the word projection because projection is used by people who don't live in the real world, because the alternative to a projection when it comes to a nuclear weapon, when is that?
Now, somebody said it right in the chat, though, and they said, look, man, we don't hate the people of Israel. We just hate the government that's running this war, or that's running all these military operations throughout the Middle East. Sadly, Israel has always had a very shady government. I'll just be real with you. Because, Israel, is the only country in the Middle East that's expanded their borders. Yes, literally expanded their borders into other countries. They've attacked 6 different nations or 6 different countries in less than 2 years. So this is the problem here. We don't blame the Israeli people. We blame the government. And trust me, there's people in Israel that's getting sick and tired of this war shit. But sadly, there's a good amount of people who actually support the war efforts in Israel. It is what it is, guys. Hey, man, look, some of them actually do truly believe they're the chosen people, and some of them believe that, look, man, it ain't even that serious. No need to try to take over the entire Middle East. There's different sects of Judaism and all that good stuff, and, not all Jewish people think the same. I'd hope we'd understand this, but, hey, some people think all Muslims are the same, so sometimes you got to explain it.
Projection end, Mehdi? Does it end when Iran is trying to develop enriched uranium, and already back before the JCPOA had already developed 6 times, and now they've developed almost 90% of enriched uranium, which is 20 times the amount you need for an atomic weapon. Is that?
Where is it? Please prove it. Prove we're no Iran has 90% enriched uranium, because y'all just be talking out y'all ass. That's what be killing me about these guys. They'll say one thing, and then we'll go out there to go prove them wrong. We're vindicated. We come back to them, and they're just like, "What are you, an Iranian supporter?" It's like, bro, prove it, because no intelligence has came out that they have 90% enrichment. Bro, we don't even know what their enriched uranium is at right now. You know that, right? We don't even know what the enriched uranium that we want so bad that we want them to give up is at. So what makes you think we even know if they're at 90% enrichment or not? Like, let's be honest here. This sounds like dumb at a certain point, but it is what it is.
For civil uses, is that still a projection, or is it when they actually press that little button and it lands in the U.S.?
Well, let me ask you. Well, let me before.
Hold on, Pierce.
Well, hang on. On that point, on that point, given you said
projection that 22 civilians have been
killed but let me ask
ballistic
you,
missiles, and we've had 600 warheads on Israel. We've had warheads land on the UAE.
2,000 people in Lebanon and 3,000 people in Iran.
And regarding, this is so funny. Regarding Iran, you put them on the court bench. You call in someone for a character reference, comparing Iran to Israel.
Just to go ahead and prove it to, I don't know why you could easily look this up, but let's go to can.org, guys, because shout out to these guys at can.org. So let's see here. Which countries have nuclear weapons? Russia, France, India, United States, United Kingdom, Israel, China, Pakistan, and North Korea. So, yeah, everybody knows Israel got nukes, my man. It's not that hard to figure out. It's like, come on now. I mean, bro, I knew they had. See, I knew the numbers were 90. I knew that. See, I wasn't too far off. So I'm sorry, bro, but y'all ain't doing enough research. If you didn't know Israel got nukes, that's like geopolitics 101, bro. All right, welcome to geopolitics 101. Israel got nukes. Lesson 1: Israel got nukes. We just gonna take it from there. All right, that's what they should have taught you in geopolitics 101. Israel got nukes. Now we're just gonna take it from there. I'm just playing, of course. But as you see, though, yes. These countries do have nukes. And, like I said, Israel got nukes. And it's crazy that some people don't know that, but it is what it is. Let's see here. Now, if I can remember here. And just to let you know where this comes from, ICANN is an international campaign to segmentize and prohibit and eliminate nuclear weapons. The international campaign to abolish nuclear weapons. Yeah, .org. So yes, we know who got nuclear weapons. It's obvious that Israel got nuclear weapons, but for some reason, some of y'all don't know this. Well, now you know. I know, right? Somebody said, prove to me that Israel got nuclear weapons. I'm like, bro, really?
Well, who's Iran? Well, they've developed a global terror regime that stretches from the Middle East through Latin America into Europe. They have the Houthis who've stopped shipping and have fired missiles and weapons both at Israel and U.S. assets. They created Hezbollah, the world's largest terror organization that is also one of the largest drug organizations.
Actually, you created Hezbollah by illegally invading Lebanon.
Who committed October 7th. They just killed 30,000 of their people in the streets for protesting. I mean, do we need such a projection? I mean, only an idiot would actually say we need a projection to understand what Iran's intent is. We don't even need to try. They keep shoving it in your face, Mehdi. You're in absolute denial. And so is Candace Owens, and so is Tucker Carlson. And President Trump, thank
I'm not here to speak for. Hold on. Let me respond. You said a lot there. I'm not here to speak for Tucker Carlson or Candace Owens, who I've been very critical of. I'm not here to speak for Iran, who I've been very critical of. I'm here to talk about facts.
All right, make sure to double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Let's get more people in on the conversation by double tapping that screen. If you got any questions, comments, jokes, disagreements, or you just want to support the show, you can go ahead and super chat in $2 and up.
You say projection. Let's just deal with your little speech in two ways. Number one, even if I were to accept your premise that Iran's nuclear program was a threat, even though the IEA and US intelligence say it wasn't, but let's accept your premise that it was a threat. This is not the way you stop a nuclear program. We had the JCPOA, which Israel opposed, Donald Trump opposed. Iran was enriching at 3.67%, had no pathway to a bomb under the JCPOA, as every major disarmament and nuclear expert said at the time. It was Israel, Netanyahu, Trump that opposed this, and now we have them at 60% enriched uranium because of the actions of Israel and Donald Trump.
Yeah, there was a Zionist push for Trump to get out of the JCPOA. I mean, that's why you had Mark Levin literally, like, bro, literally was so gleeful when Trump got out of the JCPOA. He kept the pen. Mark Levin kept the pen that Trump signed to get out of the JCPOA. That's how excited he was, because he knew that was going to lead us on a path to war with Iran. I mean, bro, every Zionist pushed for Trump to get out of the JCPOA. That should tell you something.
So if you claim to want to stop Iran from having a nuclear weapon, you've done a very bad job of doing that. In fact, if you're the Iranian leadership now, you probably want a bomb more now than ever before, because you've been attacked by Israel 2 years running. That's one point. On the point about projection, the point I'm making is this, Doran, and you dodged it, so let me ask it again. The only country in the Middle East right now that can put its finger on a button and fire a nuke is Israel. The only country threatening to fire the nuke it has, Ben-Gvir smiled and nodded the other day when an Israeli journalist suggested nuking Iran, is Israel. Why is your country, Doran, you're a spokesman for the military, in violation of UN Resolution 487, which was unanimously passed, including by the Reagan administration in 1981, calling for Israel to open up its nuclear facilities to the IAEA? Why wouldn't you allow IAEA inspectors to look at your illicit secret nuclear weapons program?
First of all, I think you and I both know that there are no binding United Nations resolutions against Israel. Not in
yes,
any
there is.
sphere.
UN Security Council Resolution 487.
There's not a
You're wrong, Doran. You're wrong, Doran.
UN resolution.
You're wrong.
And there is a number of.
You're lying. Everyone can Google it right now. UN Security Council Resolution
against Iran's
487. People
now,
can Google it.
Mehdi, you just said it yourself.
You can talk over me.
Basically, just
UN Security Council Resolution.
You're saying that Israel.
487.
Mehdi, one second. We can't
you can talk over me. I'll wait and make my point again. Okay, well, let me just make one point and then I'll let you speak indefinitely. UN Resolution 487. You can Google it right now. People can watch it at home. In 1981, the Reagan administration voted for it. It calls on Israel to urgently open up its facilities to IAEA controls. That is a UN Security Council resolution, which is binding under international law. Israel has been in violation of it.
Them and Iraq. Yeah, them and Iraq was both told to, sign the treaty, open up their doors to inspections. Iraq actually said okay, and Israel said no. Huh.
For 45 years. Why are you in violation of it? And do you accept that Israel has nuclear weapons? If you won't accept that, why should we take anything you say seriously on anything else?
It is not a binding resolution. However, I want to hit your point because I think you just answered it for me. You said that this has been Israel, according to you, has been in violation for 40 years. So therefore, you're assuming Israel's had a nuclear weapon for 40 years. Can you tell me one time, Mehdi?
It has.
One single time.
Are you denying
Israel
that?
has threatened
are you denying
another
that?
country with
Doran,
nuclear war? Can you tell me, Mehdi, one time when
one time Israel threatened a country with nuclear weapons? You ever heard of the Yom Kippur War, where Israel literally threatened to nuke, what was it, Egypt? It was Egypt and Lebanon if we didn't help them out in that war. So yes, Israel has threatened to nuke other countries.
Israeli prime minister under an entire command center would have the ability with massive controls. Just one second.
I answered your question.
That is referred to another country. Hold on, Mehdi. Another country, as you and I both know, that Iran, who you have projections about, the supreme leader, right, Ali Khamenei, which I'm very curious why you defend him and his entire regime.
But let me go ahead and read this out for you guys real quick. So during the 1973 Yom Kippur War, amid severe conventional military setbacks, Israeli leaders, including, here's Modish Dayan, reportedly considered or prepared nuclear options, often referred to as the Samson option. While some reports allege Israel prepared 13 nuclear weapons, experts argued this way. Yeah, well, damn. All right. Let me get back into that. sorry, something came up. But expert argued this way was likely to a defensive alert or a signal to force the U.S. to initiate a vital arms airlift rather than a direct threat to use them. So pretty much Israel was like, look, if you don't help us out, and we're getting our ass kicked right here. If you don't help us out, bro, we're going to start nuking people. Like straight up wiping these Arabs right off the effing map. And if you don't help us, we're going to bomb 2 of these guys and we're going to wipe them off the map. Now, America, if you want to avoid this, all you got to do is just give me the airlift. Go ahead and bring in that airlift so we can go ahead and protect ourselves and it's all good. But if not, then, you know, things are going to get real tragic in the Middle East. And we capitulated and we gave them the airlift. So yes, they were threatening to use to bomb other countries if we didn't help them. AKA, I mean, we basically saved 2 countries that day.
Ali Khamenei refers to Israel.
But then we also bent the knee to Israel at the same time.
As the little Satan. And we both know, how he refers to the United States, meaning the spiritual leader. You've called him a spiritual leader.
Doran, you're not, let me jump in here. Doran, let me jump in.
Leader,
Let me jump in,
calls
please.
America the great Satan.
Let me jump in,
and you want to
please.
give him a nuclear
Doran,
weapon?
stop
Israel
talking.
and the US are fighting together against
Please
terror
stop
regimes.
talking. I am here. I am here. And I am moderating this panel, much as you both like to just get off without me. Many raises the point I have raised with a number of pro-Israeli guests in the last few weeks. Why is it that Israel does not admit it has nuclear weapons? And are you prepared to do so now?
Oh, guys, you know I'm a millennial, right? Like, that's gonna be the funniest thing. People be thinking I'm Gen, what was it? Gen Z, Gen X or whatever. Well, people actually assume that I'm Gen Z. And I'm like, no. I'm a millennial, guys. Shout out to my millennials in the chat.
Israel, as we all know, is a state that upon its very founding faced an existential threat from 7 countries that attacked it.
You attacked all of those countries, though. I mean, bro, of course you've been terrorizing the Palestinians. Then you popped off with the Lebanese. What was it in the 60s? I mean, you got into it with Jordan. You've got into it with Syria. Proxy. You got through it through proxy in Iraq. So I'm sorry, but y'all have low key committed every almost constant acts of aggressions. Acts of aggression against your neighbors. And we're supposed to sit here and feel sorry for you guys. Like somebody even said in the chat, well, you know, Israel's surrounded by countries that want to destroy them. Why do you think that? Why do you think that? You think it's just because that they're Jewish? You think it's because that they're Israelis? You'd be dumb to think that. No, it's because Israel's been a constant aggressor in that region. That's why a lot of these countries want to wipe Israel off the map. And I don't agree with them. I don't agree with wanting Israel to be wiped off the map. But what I do agree with is that, you guys are causing so much problems in the Middle East to where they have a hostile attitude towards you guys. Like, do you not understand this? And they don't care. They really don't care. They love the hostile attitude, but then they'll complain about it at the same time.
No, that in 1967, Israel was attacked by 3 countries, followed by 1973, followed by the Gulf War in 1981, followed by Hezbollah and Hamas. There's probably not been another country on earth.
What's this got to do with you being transparent about having nuclear weapons?
According to the Non-Proliferation Treaty, which Israel has not signed and therefore is not bound by, Israel, if it maintains a nuclear arsenal, it has not used it. And if it maintains it, it is because it
Why are you saying if? You know the answer.
Hold on.
So why can't Iran have a nuke because it faces existential threat from Israel? Seeing that you guys attacked them first twice. So if Israel's allowed to have that position of having nukes because, everybody's around them is such an existential threat, well, Iran's allowed to have nukes because you guys are an existential threat and you guys attacked them twice, unprovoked. Actually, Lebanon's also allowed to have nukes because you guys attacked them, but y'all been attacking them unprovoked since the goddamn 60s. So I'm gonna be real with you. It sounds like we need to start handing nukes out throughout the Middle East because everybody's an existential threat that we need to be protected from, or that they need to protect themselves from.
And since the Holocaust, which today is International Holocaust Day in Israel, it's Israeli Holocaust Day, and we are mourning tonight 6 million Jews that have died. Israel maintains the ability never to rely on anyone else. And therefore, Israel is not bound by the Nuclear Proliferation Treaty. It didn't sign on. Who is bound? The United States is bound. and it has followed it.
Yeah, but how
And
can
guess
you
what?
demand?
Iran,
How
hold on,
can
wait,
you
wait,
demand?
wait. Pierce,
Yeah,
Iran,
Doran,
I answered
Doran,
you.
you're
I
not
answered
answering
you
my
because of
question.
an existential
Doran,
threat.
Doran.
The thing is, like I said, I would just want to flip his argument around on him. I'm like, all right, so you got nukes because you're surrounded by enemies and you think these guys are existential threat. Well, guess what? You've proved to be a imminent threat because you attacked Iran first twice. So, I mean, by your logic, they should be able to have nukes. By your logic.
I just want to say Iran has signed it
How
and
can you,
violated
Doran,
it from
I don't want
already
them to
from
have nukes,
2002.
but
how can you, with a straight face, defend Israel's determination for full transparency by another country over its nuclear weapon ambitions when you have so far steadfastly ducked my very simple question as to whether Israel has its own nuclear weapons? And
I have not ducked.
Oh, guys, make sure to double tap that screen and like the video, guys. And let's get more people in on the conversation by double tapping that screen. Let's try to get to 100 likes. And if you have any question, comment, jokes, or disagreements, you can go ahead and Venmo it in, super chat it in, or you can send a Rumble rant, depending on where you're watching from. Appreciate the support, guys. But like I said, let's not forget to double tap that screen. All right, let's get back to it. And like I said, super chat in, any question or comments.
Your question,
do you
I'm
have
answering
them or
you,
not?
Pierce, and I explained to you that while I do not have firsthand knowledge of Israel's nuclear facilities, like you, I've heard the foreign reports.
You don't
and
know.
would
You
assume
don't
that
know.
it is, hold on, I'm answering. Pierce,
As a
that's my
reservist
answer.
IDF
And I would assume
spokesman,
it's highly
you don't know if
likely.
Israel's nukes.
I would assume it is highly
Bro.
likely as.
I'm sorry, but like, come on now. You know Israel got nukes. Like, really? Are you really gonna let this guy play dumb in y'all face? He knows Israel got nukes. We all know Israel got nukes, about 90 of them. I mean, look, if the international campaign to abolish nuclear weapons knows that they got nukes, come on now. We all know Israel got nukes. There's more references I can go to that proves to you that Israel got nukes. But these are just the best ones because it's like they're literally life mission to go out there and make sure that they dismantle all the nukes in the world. So if that's your mission, then wouldn't you want to keep track of all of them? Of course you would. So shout out to those guys.
Do you that Israel has a nuclear program? Israel never signed the NPT. And the reason Israel never signed the NPT, I would assume, even though I wasn't in the room, is because Israel maintains its individual right to defend itself. To compare that now to Iran and a potential nuclear program in a regime that is the world's #1 global terrorism, or they are not just terrorism, they engineered the idea of terrorism.
Hey, yo, now you lying. Now you big lying. Bro, hold on now. I wonder if I'll get canceled. No, F it, I'm just going to say it. Bro, the father of terrorism was Israel's first president. Father of terrorism. What was it? The King David Hotel bombing? Let me see here. King David Hotel bombing. Because that is crazy. Because the guy who did that bombing is the father of terrorism. It was done by a white ring Zionist like terrorist organization. And guess what? This guy became the first prime minister of Israel. So when this man literally says, oh, they invented terrorism. No, bro, y'all did. Yeah, actually, the creation of Israel was structured through terrorism. Actually, the IDF was formed off 3 different terrorist groups that were all Israeli or Jewish. So I'm sorry, but that is wild. Bro said, you guys are where terrorists came from. No, my friend. No. You. Yeah, let's talk about it. King David Hotel bombing was an attack carried out on July 22nd, 1946. Yeah, okay, well, two years before, the establishment of Israel. And this was this guy's mission. They was committing these terrorist attacks, and these were Zionist terrorist attacks for the sake of Israel, or the creation of Israel, by the Ungun, a militant Zionist paramilitary group. Zionist paramilitary group. And what is all of Israel? Country full of Zionists, targeting the southern wing of the King David Hotel in Jerusalem, which then served as headquarters for the British mandatory authorities. It remains one of the deadliest attacks of insurgency during the British Mandate for Palestine. Yeah. And like I said, this guy here, the guy, Meklamij, what's his name? Mekahem Begin. You know what? I'm going to make sure I get the pronunciation on that, but let me go ahead and bring it up right here. This guy right here. Right? This guy right here. pretty much led a terrorist attack on the King David Hotel, and he became a future prime minister of Israel. Shout out that guy, right? I mean, yo, you go out there, you do a little terrorism, then you get to run a country, bro. That's kind of dope. I don't know too many people that did that. Right? Right. All right, then let's get back to it, Pierce. Make sure to double tap that screen and like the video.
They represent terror that has killed 241 American Marines. They have killed 85 Jews in Buenos Aires. They have killed thousands of U.S. soldiers with roadside bombs. They have carried out.
Y'all just got done killing Christians in Lebanon. I mean, who are y'all to judge at this point? And bro, hold on. What was it? The Beirut bombing, the military with the Marines? Yeah, Mossad knew about that. They knew about that bombing, and y'all let it happen. So I'm sorry, but how are y'all our allies again, bro? Like, it's so crazy when you actually look through Israel's history with the United States, and you just look at them like, how are we allies again? Because it seems like a bit of extortion.
According to MI5, mass casualty attempts in England since 2022. They just killed 40,000 of the protesters. Israel has a protest about cottage cheese. Israel's protests every day. How can you compare the idea that Israel would have a nuclear weapon and Iran, the potential of Hitler?
Let Mehdi respond.
I noticed that Doron said that Iran killed 30,000 of its people a few minutes ago. Now he's saying 40,000. By the end of this discussion, it'll be 100,000. It's funny how they inflate the numbers of people killed in Iran, but never recognize the 100,000 people you killed in Gaza, that your military killed in Gaza, 100,000 people minimum killed in Palestine, which are actually verified numbers by international organizations like the Lancet Medical Journal. You deny those. But let's put that to one side.
See, thank you, Mehdi. I'm going to have to give him that. I don't even like Mehdi at all, but I'll give him that. That was actually a really good argument. It's like the reason why we don't believe the 30,000 dead protesters that you guys want to inflate the numbers on is because, one, there's no names. No names, no nothing. And I'm sorry, but the same people who want to float these, 30K dead protesters are the same people that we were showing the Gaza Health Ministry, the names, birth dates, all that good stuff of the women and children that died in Gaza. And y'all sat there and said that's Hamas propaganda. And then it was proven true. Y'all didn't want to walk nothing back. So now y'all want to come to us with 30,000 or 40,000 or 45,000 dead protesters that you don't got no names for, no birthdays, no body, no nothing. But when we showed you guys names, birth dates, bodies, y'all said we were lying. Y'all said we were Hamas. Really? I can't believe these guys sometimes.
Deal with some of the stuff you've been saying. Number one, just some fact checks. UN Security Council.
Bro, I can give you fake unprovable numbers, but when you give me real provable numbers, I'm going to call them fake and unprovable. Why?
The resolution is binding under international law. The Reagan administration voted for it, and you've never followed it. You proudly say you haven't signed the NPT. People watching at home will laugh their heads off. You're basically saying, because we didn't sign an international treaty, we don't have to follow international law. So then why doesn't Iran just pull out of the NPT? Why doesn't everyone just pull out of the NPT and do what Israel did? You say Israel reserves the right to defend itself. That old chestnut. No other country in the Middle East is allowed to defend itself. Israel is the country that bombed, count them, 6 countries in the Middle East last year. I can't think of a single country on planet Earth, aside from the US and Israel, that bombed half a dozen countries in the calendar year 2025. That is your country that you're defending, a rogue nation that bombs whoever it sees fit and then claims to be a victim. You say that, for example, you mentioned in your comments, you said 1967 we were attacked. Complete flat falsehood. Israel attacked first in 1967. Everyone knows that. It's a documented fact. You can call it a preemptive war, but you can't just lie on here and say.
I mean, bro, they started with everybody. They started a war with Egypt. They attacked them first. They attacked Lebanon first. I mean, shoot. Even when it comes to the conflict with the Palestinians, they aggressed on them first. They kicked them out of their homeland. So I'm sorry, but all this hate that Israel has in the Middle East, they brought upon themselves. And that's what nobody wants to talk about. The fact that due to the bullshit Israel has done in the Middle East throughout the past 50 to 60 years, maybe even more, this is the reason why all these Arab countries don't like them. Because they've caused nothing but mayhem and turmoil in their countries. I mean, that's just a fact. I'm sorry, but Israel's not the nicest neighbor to be next to in the Middle East.
you were attacked. You were not. You said that Iran pioneered the use of terrorism in the Middle East. Actually, that was the Zionist gangs. That was the Stern Gang and the Irgun who blew up British diplomats, bombed the King David Hotel, hung British sergeants, attacked British civilians and military and Arabs. It was actually Jewish and Zionist terror gangs that pioneered terrorism in the Middle East 100 years ago. So a lot of your facts are just completely wrong. And you're dodging Piers' central point, which is that you do have nukes. You know you have nukes. You're not allowed to say you have nukes, which makes this whole conversation so absurd. But the idea that you would come on TV and go after someone else's civil nuclear program. Remember, the US says Iran did not have a weapons program, while you yourself have weapons. That's the US intelligence community's view. They said last year, that is what the US said last year. The US annual.
Then why do we need the
let me read out the quote to you.
Program that you support.
Let me read out the quote to you. Let me read out the quote to you. If you stop interrupting me. I didn't interrupt you, Doran. You spoke for a while. In 2025, this is what the Director of National Intelligence said. We continue to assess Iran is not building a nuclear weapon and that Khamenei has not reauthorized the nuclear weapons program he suspended in 2003. A country that doesn't have nukes is being lectured by you, a country that does have nukes. It would be funny if it wasn't so tragic and you hadn't killed so many Iranian kids as part of your supposedly disarmament program.
Let me ask you, Doran, let me ask you a question.
Can I respond?
Doran, let me.
Okay,
you can respond.
Can I respond?
You can respond, but let me ask you. Let me ask you another question.
Like Israel wasn't attacked in '67. That Israel is basically just.
I mean, bro, you attack them and then they attack you back. So I mean, if that's your, I mean, if you want to go by that, then sure. But no, they did not attack y'all first. You attack them.
You launched the '67 war. That's a fact.
What Mehdi does is he tells a fantasy story.
It's historical fact.
Israel woke up one morning 2 years ago and said, you know what? We're a country of 9 million people. Let's go attack 6 countries throughout the Middle East.
Not 2 years ago, Doran.
2,000
Not 2 years ago.
Because we just
78 years ago, you've been bombing your neighbors.
By the way,
so 78 years you've been bombing your neighbors from the very beginning.
For a very, very, very long time. If
and you interrupted me, Doran.
I assume that you want to hear my answer. That's why we're here. October 8th.
You interrupted me when I was trying to read out the threat assessment, remember.
October 8th, there was also a war. That war began when Hezbollah saw Israel weaken on October 7th and launched a campaign of 6,000 rockets at Israel. And then Israel responded. Iran fired 500 ballistic missiles, which has been attacking Israel consistently. And Israel decided back then with the United States that it is time to deal with the #1 terror regime in the entire world. And what I hear from you, Mehdi, is you make an incredibly compelling case diverting the conversation away from stopping Iran's nuclear power by hyper-focusing on the Israeli democracy that you yourself admit has had nuclear weapons for 40 years and never used them. And you were essentially getting a get-out-of-jail-free card for Iran. Mehdi, are you willing, if there's a possibility in your projection, if you projected that Iran would have a nuclear weapon, would you be concerned?
All right, well, I want to ask a question based around that, which is, hang on. If I could just ask a question of Doran now, which is this, which is if the whole purpose of this war was to stop Iran developing a nuclear weapon, do you concede now that if you don't get the enriched uranium, either voluntarily handed to you by Iran or by seizure, which would require the use of ground forces, that the whole war will have been a failure? Do you accept
that? No, it wouldn't have all been a failure because obviously we will not get the most important thing, which is to remove the enriched uranium from Iran. And that is the number one goal.
So it would be a failure if you don't get the uranium.
If we do not get the uranium, the #1 goal of this war will not be fulfilled, and it's going to put the war in a sense of stagnation, which I think will probably continue until that happens for one of two.
I wonder if our government agrees with that. Is the #1 goal to get the uranium? Because if that's the case, then I mean, all you guys that was, called us panicans for, oh no, you guys are panicking, there's gonna be no boots on the ground. Well, if the #1 goal is to secure that uranium, and we don't do it through talks, there's gonna be boots on the ground. Like that's the only way to get it.
Reasons. Either Iran is going to develop a nuclear weapon and threaten the rest of the world, and the world will then try to stop them, probably too late, or at some point in the future, I don't know when, either the US or Israel will try to make that happen. However, this war has been incredibly successful for a very simple reason. We have destroyed Iran's nuclear production capabilities. its launching timers, its hard fuel, all of the many things that go in order to take that bomb, put it on a warhead, and shoot it have been destroyed. Their ballistic missile program has been weakened.
But how do we know? Because last summer,
just one second, their leadership and the planning mechanism has been.
It's funny when they say, "Oh, their ballistic missile system has been weakened." It's like, yeah, well, according to U.S. intelligence, only 33% of their missiles have been used or destroyed. 33%. So you guys are telling us 90, and I mean, this kind of explains why they're able to fire like cluster missiles. They're able to fire hundreds of missiles into Israel, and also make sure to keep some drones left for the Gulf country. Like, this explains it, because, well, apparently our government or Trump and Hegseth hasn't been really too honest about how much of their missile stockpile we actually decimated. Because I'll say this right now, it ain't that much.
Destroyed.
Doran, with respect, last summer, after the 12-day war, we were assured that the whole nuclear capability of Iran had been put back decades. It was done, flattened. It was over. 8 months.
Oh, guys, make sure to double tap that screen and like the video, guys. And if you have any question, comment, jokes, or disagreements, I'll be happy to read it out loud. Just $2 and up. Appreciate the support.
Later, a massive war was launched against Iran because it turned out that was all baloney. Now
It
you're
wasn't
spewing.
baloney, but
Now
I'll
you're
tell you what
spewing what
happened.
many people will say is exactly the same rhetorical baloney again.
It-
But
it's
you're
not,
also,
Kirsten. I'll tell
you're
you why.
also conceding that if the enriched uranium remains in Iran, this war's a failure. And I don't see how
I
you
said it
get
isn't a
How
failure
are you
because
gonna
you'll
get it?
set back a terror regime that operates with
Well, it
ballistic
is-
missiles, operates as
but the regime remains in place.
Hamas, you'll have taken, again,
The Supreme Leader's son is the new Ayatollah, right?
Pierce.
Yeah.
What? Say this again. I'm sorry.
The Ayatollah, the Supreme Leader who was killed, his son is his replacement. The IRGC regime remains in place. There's been no protests from the people of Iran.
Facts.
And the Straits of Hormuz have become a massive weapon for the Iranians to use economically, as they also simultaneously attack all their Gulf states.
And like I said, every time you hit these guys, the pro-war guys with the facts, they're just like, they kind of get shut down, and now they got to call you, what are you, Iranian, or you're an American? No, dog. I'm laying out the fact that, bro, we have not completed not one goal of this war, but you guys are holding up y'all pom-poms cheerleading, and we don't even got a point on the scoreboard yet. It's like, I'm sorry, but did we complete a goal? Do we have their nuclear enrichment under control? No. Do we have their ballistic missiles under control? No. Drones? No. Regime? Has it been changed? No. So I'm sorry, but why are y'all shaking pom-poms here?
Neighbors. So the idea that my point is the idea that at the end of this, Iran keeps its enriched uranium, you would have to admit in that eventuality, the war's a failure.
Not just no, because a war, Pierce, it's very rare that you get a victory, what's called, unconditional surrender of any enemy. I don't think it's happened since World War II. What you get in wars are cumulative gains. Again, this is not fast food. It's like a McDonald's drive-through. The woman says, "What do you want?" You say, "I want, the end of the Iranian regime." This is a process that began a number of months ago with the 12-day war. And what Israeli intelligence and U.S. intelligence saw is as soon as that war ended, Iran went right back to building a nuclear program, developing the nuclear sites, digging for the uranium that was there. They refurbished their ballistic missile sites and were expanding it from 2,500 to 7,000. And like you said, that now that we see Ali Khamenei has been killed, what do we?
Yeah, but they don't have a nuclear weapons program. So you can sit there and say, well, they was digging up the uranium and they were trying to clean up their site. So that proves that they were pushing towards enrichment. Yeah, okay, cool. But guess what? They weren't pushing towards a nuclear weapon, nor did he have a nuclear weapons missile program. So what is all this crying about them cleaning up their nuclear weapons facility that you guys bombed and that, we bombed as well?
See happened. They have not reformed. They put in another member of the exact same family, meaning this regime is evil.
So you have done this. Hold on. Can I actually say
many respond to stop them, Pierce? It's the idea of good standing against evil.
Response, please.
So what both of you are missing to an extent is it's not really about what uranium is left in the country. It's about intent. You have left, the Israelis and the American government have left the Iranian government, not just in place. There hasn't been the regime change that Netanyahu lied to Trump and said would be easy in that situation from meeting. They've not just left the Iranian regime in place, but they've left the Iranian government with the clear intent to want to have to defend itself, to use Doron and the Israelis' favorite phrase, their right to self-defense. If you were in the Iranian government today, would you not want to get nuclear weapons? Would you not think I've been attacked 2 years running by people I was in the middle of negotiations with? Every time I'm in a negotiation with them, they kill our negotiators. They kill our top foreign diplomats. They threaten to kill more of us. Every time we're doing a deal, whether it's in Geneva or Vienna or Oman, they attack us, which is what the Israelis did last year. Why would you not want to get nuclear weapons? Why would you not look at North Korea and say, no one dares touch North Korea because they have nukes?
I mean, yeah, if you think about it from a strategic perspective, it's like, yo, why wouldn't they get nukes? It's like at this point, we've vindicated Iran to have nukes. We've shown that we can do it in good faith. We've shown that even if we get them signed under JCPOA, we don't know when the next president going to come along and rip it up, and then we just get right back into this again. The only thing that would solve this from ever happening again to Iran would be to, well, have nukes, or we just start practicing good faith diplomacy.
Why would you not listen to Doron speaking on Piers Morgan saying, well, we didn't sign the NPT, so we don't have any obligations not to have nukes? Why wouldn't Iran say, well, we're going to pull out of the NPT, we're going to do what North Korea did, and we're going to do it because the world saw us get illegally attacked 2 years running? Doron asked me, do I want Iran to have nuclear weapons? No, I'm anti-nuclear weapons. I'm not like you. I don't support nukes and have a secret nuclear weapons program. I supported the JCPOA, which in the very first paragraph, Iran affirmed never to build nuclear weapons, which said that Iran could only enrich to 3.67%, which got rid of a lot of their highly enriched uranium. You, the Israeli government, Netanyahu, stopped the JCPOA, wrecked the JCPOA. You helped Iran enrich to 20 and then 60. You brought us to this situation, the Israeli government and the Donald Trump administration. So don't lecture the rest of us about nukes when you have nukes and you've now incentivized Iran to get nukes. Every year,
I know a lot of people are going to disagree with this, but yeah, this bad faith diplomacy that we've been practicing, attacking Iran during negotiations and all this wild stuff, is like, that's going to push them more towards a nuke. And I'm not saying that they're going towards it. I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised they just rush towards it, because we've kind of showed them that you really can't trust us, and we vindicated North Korea's decision to push towards a nuke no matter what the world was saying, because they've seen all through the Middle East. I mean, remember, Kim Jong's own father said it. He's like, look, we're making this nuke to make sure that we still have this regime around, because if we don't have nukes, then we're going to get taken over or regime change like these guys out there in the Middle East. And we're seeing that the only thing that's stopping America from touching you is having a nuke. And North Korea realized it, and they went straight ahead towards it. Hopefully Iran doesn't choose the same thing.
No doubt about it.
There is a resolution.
20%
Let me just finish my point. Doron, you and Piers spoke for a very long time. Let me finish my point. You said you don't like interruptions. I'll finish in a moment. The UN General Assembly votes every year to have a weapons of mass destruction free zone in the Middle East. Iran votes for that resolution. Everyone in the world votes for that resolution. 2 countries don't vote for that resolution. That is the US and Israel, because Israel wants to be the only power. Well, Iran doesn't have nukes, and you do.
You are so naive, Mehdi. It's unbelievable. I'm listening to you.
You can't even tell. You can't even tell.
I mean, like I said, though, it is kind of funny. The country with nukes that are, not legally recognized. Yes, Israel's nukes are not legally recognized. They're illegal nukes. They're not supposed to have them. So the country that got basically illegal nukes is telling the country who don't got nukes that they can't have nuclear weapons, even though the country that do got nuclear weapons have, preemptively struck this country twice, without this country hitting them first or anything. The country with nukes hit the country without nukes twice, but they're the ones saying that the country without nukes is a nuclear threat. Wow. Okay, man. And did people actually buy this? That's the crazy part.
You can't even tell the viewers today whether Israel has nukes.
Iran.
You can't even say one
statement.
Mehdi,
you're defending
Doron, why should anyone believe anything you say?
The hidden nuclear program.
No, I'm not actually.
Nuclear program is Iran. It's Ali Khamenei. That's your leader.
No, the US disagree with you. And the IAEA.
I mean,
there's no evidence.
Which one are you? Because you're defending. You sound like Mehdi Khamenei.
See, that's what I'm saying. They can't get down with the facts. You start bringing up the IAEA. You start bringing up the fact that Iran was not seen as an imminent threat, was not marked down as an imminent threat. There's no nuclear, no 90% of nuclear enrichment, no weapons program, none of that. And when you bring that up to them, all of a sudden, who are you speaking for the Ayatollah? No, I'm bringing the facts to you to let you know that this war is BS. Well, at least the reason we're fighting is BS.
Yeah. I mean,
there's no evidence.
Which one are you? Because you're defending. You sound like Mehdi Khamenei. We're a nice program. We vote against nuclear weapons.
Of course.
We just want
go for racist insults.
2014,
that's all you have left.
We already had 20% enriched uranium. I mean, who are you speaking
Doron.
as? As an American citizen?
And yes, so hold on. You're going back to 2014, Doron?
2014.
Who are you speaking as? You're speaking as the Israeli military.
And it was reported before the JCPOA.
And exactly. When did the JCPOA get signed, Doron? Do you know what year?
2015.
Do you know what year the JCPOA was signed?
2015.
Exactly, the year later. So why are you going back to 2014? It was resolved in 2015.
And they never had to
and then
dismantle
you
the
and
20%.
Trump came along and wrecked it. No, the Trump administration vouched and said Iran was complying with the JCPOA. So when you keep saying, why do you trust Iran? Iran did what it had to do. It, according to the IAEA,
let's unpack the JCPOA first.
They
Mehdi,
followed
you tell
the
us.
deal. No.
Mehdi, tell us the conditions of the JCPOA.
I'm going to tell you what happened under the JCPOA.
No, tell me about what does the JCPOA say? You know, tell us all the truth.
I do know, and
it said that Iran can enrich to 3.6%. They got a certain amount. Well, I think it was like a 400 kilo stockpile they're allowed to keep of that 3.6% in uranium. So, yeah, that's what's about. Oh, yeah, and they had to also let weapons inspectors on there. Remember, yeah. So we actually had a pretty good knowledge of what was going on when it came to their nuclear weapons program. And for some reason, you guys didn't like that because, well, you've seen that, well, we can't go to war with Iran if we know what's going on inside of Iran. We're trying to paint them as a nuclear threat. So you convinced Trump to get out of the JCPOA. You put back the sanctions back on Iran, and Trump commits to more acts of aggression towards Iran. And by 2021, Iran's at 60% enrichment. And if you don't know the acts of aggression, I'll say it again. I said it multiple times. When he imposed sanctions back on Iran, which was the whole reason why they even got up under the JCPOA. He designated the IRGC a terrorist group, and he killed General Qasem Soleimani. All this was done from 2028. Yeah, my bad, not 2028. 2018 to, well, today. Or my bad, but 2020. So this is the reason why Iran has progressed towards this, well, enrichment, towards 60% enrichment, because we kept on showing aggression. AKA, if we'd have never got out of that JCPOA, Iran would have still been under that 3.6%. And why do we know that? Because we had inspectors all in there, and we'd have known they were going to be up to something because they'd had to kick the inspectors out. So that'd have been the first red alarm already. And we lost that when we got out of the JCPOA.
I'm telling you now, the JCPOA allowed Iran to enrich at 3.67%. When did they start enriching to 20%? When you and your friends in the Israeli government and Donald Trump tore up the JCPOA. Jim Mattis, a general in the American military, who was defense secretary, not under the JCPOA. No, they did not. As every IAEA inspector vouched for.
What do you think happened to that 20%?
By the way, Doron, what enriched uranium does Israel have? Because the IAEA aren't allowed.
I mean, yeah, the 20% at that time, they enriched it because we killed General Soleimani. And we labeled the IRGC a terrorist group. So, yeah, bro, that's the reason why our acts of aggression keeps pushing Iran closer and closer to a nuke. For some reason, we don't get that. We think that more aggression is going to help.
Into Israel. So why do you tell us? You say we're naive. Everyone watching
again,
us,
you're comparing
about
Israel
your own countries,
with Iran,
nuclear weapons.
Which is
yes, I am.
Which is
I'm comparing the country that has attacked,
which is
6
morally
countries.
insane.
Why?
Israel's not closing the
I
straits.
mean, it is morally insane when you can sit here and you can compare Iran to Israel and Iran looking like the nice guy. I mean, Iran has never invaded nobody. If anything, Iran's been invaded. So, I mean, Iran hasn't expanded their borders. I mean, Israel has. Israel's invaded other countries. They've expanded their borders into other countries. So when you kind of compare the two, I ain't gonna lie, Iran sounds like the good child right now.
Why? You're worse.
Too. I mean, they're under the non-proliferation treaty. Israel's not. They don't got no nukes. Israel do. I mean, I'm sorry, but who sounds like the more compliant nation to you? I mean, damn, we could fearmonger all we want, but when we look at the facts, though, kind of sounds like Iran plays better with the world than Israel do.
You're morally worse
Israel's
than Iran.
not funding
You're
proxies
morally
throughout
worse
the
than
Middle
Iran.
East.
You bombed
Israel
6
doesn't
countries.
target Marines.
You bombed 6 countries.
Israel does not
You
target
bombed 6
Marines
countries
or
last year.
Hezbollah or Hamas
You bombed
or
6
kill its own
countries.
people in the streets, even though you think it does. Israel
You just
is an open
murdered
democracy
children
with
in
a leadership
Lebanon
that
last
you don't
week.
particularly like, and we
Doron,
do.
your military just killed 300 people in a single 10-minute span last week. You blew up children in strollers. You killed a 1-year-old at a funeral. You killed 300 people in Lebanon in one day last week.
That battlefield,
you filled
Mehdi?
up the hospitals. You
Mehdi,
bombed
You guys
the
did. You guys did. When you invaded southern Lebanon, yes, you guys created that battlefield. Actually, you broke the ceasefire twice, actually 3 times with Lebanon within a year. Like, bro, Israel was under a ceasefire with Hezbollah, and they broke that ceasefire 3 times. Like, they just don't care. They want to sit back and act like, oh, well, who started the war? You did. Y'all was under a ceasefire. You broke it out of nowhere.
Who created that battlefield?
You did. You violated the ceasefire with Hezbollah 15,000 times. Yes, you violated the ceasefire.
Was there anyone over there?
15,000 times, according to the UN.
Hezbollah? That was
Doran, I know you don't like facts, right? But you haven't brought a single fact to this discussion.
Iran ceasefire was with Hezbollah. Like, that's the wild part about it. The ceasefire was with Hezbollah, but yet you guys kept attacking. And you kept attacking Lebanon and getting innocent civilians caught up in it, like just like y'all did last week. So it's kind of crazy how we just sitting here in front of us as if we don't know about Israel's wild ass history of conquest.
15,000 ceasefire violations,
and they killed them in cold blood. Israel
Why did you violate the
people
ceasefire
of southern
with Hezbollah?
Lebanon, please move out of the way so that we can actually kill Hezbollah. And
no,
Pierce had on.
Then
just
why did you kill 300 people in 10 minutes? Why did you carry out Lebanon's October the 7th last week?
You know what? It's not about you. It's not.
Why
about
did you
me.
carry out
Listen to
Lebanon's
the
October the
Lebanese.
7th last
Salah
week?
Makhnouk was on.
Why did you kill 300
and
people?
I think you should listen to what he
300
said.
people
He
you
was on
killed.
Pierce's show, and he spoke
Doran,
the
do you not
truth
feel ashamed
that the Lebanese
your military
people want
massacred
Hezbollah
300
gone?
people in 10 minutes? How do you sleep at night?
I'm sure it is true. I'm sure it's true. Many
people in 10
Lebanese people
minutes.
would like Hezbollah gone, but it's also true that many Lebanese people right now are running terrified for their lives because of the bombing
million
raids
people
over them.
A million people displaced from their homes by Israel.
Yeah, 1 million people has been displaced, and Israel said that they don't want them to come back. I mean, ain't that crazy? Look, so Israel pretty much displaced 1 million people, innocent civilians, and now are telling them, yeah, well, you can't come back either because we're now just about to take all this land. I mean, let me see if I can go ahead and I can find the map of their deal, because it was absolutely insane what I was looking at. I was like, yo, these guys really want to take southern Lebanon, and they really don't care. Like, they're upfront about it, and they're telling us right to our face, yo, we're going to annex southern Lebanon, and the world is going to watch us do it. A greater Israel is going to form right before our eyes, guys.
Place from their homes, and there's a horrible
Pierce,
familiar
if we don't
pattern
displace
that follows
them,
what happened in Gaza.
Pierce, if we don't displace them, then I go on this show and we're accused of killing civilians, right? And if we do
you are
displace
killing
them,
civilians
then we're
anyway.
accused of
You
displacement.
told them they
my
can't
question
come
to you is
back.
this. Wait,
Don't
my
lie,
question is very
Doran.
simple.
Don't gaslight us. You've
Hold
told
on,
them
I'm
they
gonna let
can't
you
come
speak.
back.
Mehdi
That means
Hassan,
it's
I have
ethnic
one
cleansing.
question for you. Does Israel have a right to respond to Hezbollah after they shot 6,000 rockets at us unprovoked on October 8th, 2023, one day after October 7th? Do we have a right to respond?
Unprovoked? Y'all were
Any country has a right to defend itself. Of course it does.
Does Israel have
Does
a right?
Lebanon have a
Because
right
you
to
seem
defend
to-
itself from
I mean,
Israeli invasion?
Israel has a right to defend themselves, you do, but unprovoked? I mean, look, y'all had every right to defend yourselves against those attacks, but to say unprovoked, like, do you not know who Hamas's allies are? Like, you're attacking one of their allies. One of the reasons that they attack you is because they also stand up for the Palestinian plight. So, of course, they were going to attack you because you're attacking their allies, which you had every right to defend yourself against, of course. Like, hey, fair is fair.
How?
Hold on. Doran, you always start these timelines. You start these timelines in weird places. You say 2014, ignoring what happened in 2015. You say October 8th, 2023. You ignore what happened in 2024, Doran. Let me remind the viewers of Piers Uncensored. There was a ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah since the end of 2024. According to the UN, according to UN peacekeepers that Israel keeps attacking, you keep attacking Irish and Nepalese and Indonesian peacekeepers. The UN peacekeepers in southern Lebanon say Israel violated the ceasefire, not 1,000 times, not 5,000 times. They say you violated the ceasefire 15,000 times over the last 18 months. So please don't come and tell me about unprovoked.
I don't know about your
You,
numbers,
Israel,
however,
violated that
I have
ceasefire.
one question.
You killed.
Why did
Well,
Israel-
you can
what
Google
were
is
the
your friend,
conditions of
Doran.
our agreement?
400
Wait,
people.
there was one
Hold
basic
on. You
condition.
can't just say I don't know my
guys,
numbers.
we've
Which
run
is
out of
my
time.
numbers are from the UN.
We've run out of time.
Southern Lebanon.
I'm sorry, we've run out of time.
You murdered 300 people last week,
Okay.
including a baby at her father's funeral.
I'm gonna
We
leave it.
murdered 300 terrorists last week, and I think those are your people.
300 terrorists? No, bro. You murdered 300 innocent civilians. that were not terrorists. You barely got any Hezbollah, be honest with you. You mainly killed civilians.
Okay.
A one-year-old baby is a terrorist. I think that speaks volumes about your view of Arabs.
The one-year-old baby was put in harm's way because Hezbollah.
I'm going to leave it there, gentlemen.
At a funeral?
I
They were put
appreciate
at
you
harm's way
joining
at a
me.
funeral?
We've run out of time. So
Wow.
thank you both very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Pierce.
And all right, guys, we're going to go ahead and end it on that one right there, guys. And make sure to double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Appreciate the support. And if you want to go ahead and send any thoughts, questions, or comments before I go ahead and head out, feel free to. In the meantime, I'm just going to go ahead and close out real quick from a word from our guys over there at Kalshi, guys. Make sure you tap into that deal with Kalshi. Use my promo code SETMedia when you sign up with Kalshi to get that $20 when you trade 20. So you get 20 back when you put $20 in. So make sure to go ahead and take advantage of that deal at Kalshi with my promo code SETMedia. And let's see here. Make sure I didn't miss any super chats. All right, no super chats on this one, so I ain't got to read nothing. All right, bet. So no question, comments, or disagreements. Anybody want to voice in the super chat? If not, forever hold your silence. All right, perfect. I'm glad I explained everything so well then. All right, guys, I'm about to head out on this one, man. I appreciate you guys for tuning in, man. Make sure you guys double tap that screen and like the video. Hit that icon above. Subscribe to the channel, guys. We do this every day, so come on in on the live. Make sure you turn that bell on to catch all the shorts that I'll be dropping later on today from this live. So if you missed it, you'll be able to catch it through the clips. All right, guys. This is S.E.T Media, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace. Yo, this is S.E.T Media, man. I'm here to talk to you about our partner, Kalshi. Kalshi is the largest legal prediction market in the United States with over 1 million users. It's available in all 50 states. They are a real money market. People trading on what they think will happen. You can build a position and trade in and out of almost any prediction you think. Kalshi facilitates trade between people kind of like the stock market. There's no limiting your trades just because you're winning. Kalshi will pay you interest on your position. So if you make a long-term trade, you can earn a return even before the market is resolved. If you want to try out Kalshi, go ahead and give them a try, guys, at my link, kalshi.com/setmedia. Get $20 when you trade 20, so it's 20 for 20, guys. Once again, that's kalshi.com/setmedia. Go ahead and use my code SETMedia to get $20 when you trade 20. Let's go ahead and take a look here at Kalshi, because like I said, it is a trading market where you can put in your prediction and you can go ahead and earn interest on that. You can make money off the knowledge that you know, and if you put $20 in, you get $20 back. So all right, guys, make sure to go check out my guy at Kalshi, because you can get in on good trades like who will Trump nominate as Fed chair? Will Ali Khamenei be outed as the supreme leader? And will the U.S. confirm that aliens exist before 2027? So if you want to get in on this action, once again, go ahead and go to my partners at Kalshi. Go ahead and use the link, or you can hit the QR code above and use SET Media to go ahead and get $20 when you trade 20. This is Set from SET Media, and shout out to Kalshi.